Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.
Hey, yo, welcome and happy Thursday. It's your boy, Chris Avalon. And welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics, all that good stuff. So that's a show for you. Definitely stick around because we got a lot of tea to spill today, including fans apparently went to go see Avatar and they disappointed that they still have not seen this Avengers Doomsday trailer. Plus, it looked like America's ass has been confirmed to be a part of Doomsday based on some of the leaks that have gone on regarding this Avengers Doomsday trailer. James Cameron, speaking of Avatar, James Cameron, somebody he's going to step back from Avatar and why he is working on a Terminator reboot without Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we're going to get into that. Plus, it looks like based on David Corenswet following a certain actor, the sleuths have been sleuthing and they think they know who's going to be our new Batman. And to give y'all a hint, it's somebody who I've been saying for a while that I've been wanting to be Batman. So we're going to get into that and a whole lot more. Plus, congratulations to Sinners because they're leading in the Black Reel Award nomination. So we'll get into that. It looks like the Oscars are heading to YouTube, so we got to get into that conversation regarding the future of streaming and where TV, it looks like, is linear television, I should say, is probably dead. Plus, I got some good news regarding Gen Z and movie theaters because, you know, and I got to come in and defend Gen Z because, you know, they always want to come in on them and say, oh, they don't got movies. They watch everything on their phone. Well, apparently the numbers went up this year for movie-going audiences, and it happened to be Gen Z. So we'll get into that story. Excuse me. Plus the latest on Rob Reiner, his wife, the official cause of death, plus more information coming out about their son Nick, and their other two children have spoken out since the unaliving of their parents. So we'll get into all of that. Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg are going at it. We're going to play that whole clip on the show regarding Marjorie Taylor Greene. So it seemed like Marjorie Taylor Greene, her grift definitely worked on some of the ladies over there at The View. And Joy Behar saying, y'all giving her a little too much credit, which caused her and Whoopi to get a little bit into it. So we'll talk about that. Plus, this news on Corey Feldman spilling tea about his sexual relationship with Corey Haim, who's not even here to defend himself. So they got a documentary coming out on that. Speaking of documentary, we also got to talk about Melania's documentary. And, well, Melania, and that's with a 3 as an E, like Megan. So we're going to talk about that mess. And the gays and everybody that was going in on that, the trailer. So we're going to play the trailer and everything. Plus, we got some Housewives news regarding NeNe Leakes and Teresa Giudice and Melissa Gorga look like they're coming back to the Housewives. I'm going to let y'all know in what capacity. Also, Jacqueline Larita is being rumored to be coming back to the Housewives. So we have that. Plus, we got some sad news in the adult performance world. Lane Rogers, who y'all may know more famously as Blake Mitchell, sadly passed away from a motorcycle accident. So we'll get into that. Plus the tributes from a lot of people in the adult film industry who are speaking out about it and giving their condolences. We have some news about the executive producer of Boots, basically saying like here was the season 2 story plan that they had and hoping that they can find a new home for the show now that Netflix trifling behind went and canceled it. And we got some news about Sniffies. A lot of the people who be up on there, you know, low-key hunching and looking for a little slurpy, sloppy toppy and some yum bouncy. Well, apparently, they saying a lot of the people that be on there looking for some same-sex trade don't even identify as homosexual. So we got to get into that. And the girls, last one, certainly not least, the girls is fighting because it looked like older queers are out here schooling Gen Z on heated rivalry because apparently Gen Z is upset that we don't have any athletes coming out on the damn show. So of course the older gays who understand all of this had to come in and be like, y'all really don't be knowing what y'all be talking about. So we're gonna get into that and a whole lot more. Before we get to those topics, if you could please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And I know I'm late. I apologize by 15 minutes. Because it was like, I got distracted because the Knicks game was about to come on. And on top of that, I got hungry. Like, it literally took me 6 hours to put this show together today with all the topics because there was topics that came out yesterday and today, and it was so much juice that was going on in the world that I was like, oh my God, I got to get this topic, this topic. There was some topics I had to cut. I was like, it's going to be too much. But some of these other ones, I feel like I could power through really quickly. That's why the topics is probably like I think like 20 topics we're gonna be doing. So yeah, I had to eat something because I was like, by the time I get through this show, more than likely I'm gonna be starving, I'm gonna be hangry, and I'm gonna be annoyed. And I don't want to bring that energy into the show. So yeah, so let me hit my banner. I see we got some comments up in here. How you gonna tell me calm down? First of all, my energy is my energy. So that's how I be on my show. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get into our first topic. And let's talk about Avengers. So apparently, Avatar 3 is officially in theaters. Me personally, I'm not all that enthused to go see this film, so y'all let me know how it is and all the other good stuff. The box office, I heard, is supposed to do 300 million worldwide, mostly overseas. So it seems like the overseas audience is more excited for this franchise than domestic. But that seems to be the case with a lot of situations like this, where overseas tends to like a lot of stuff, and here a lot of people don't care, or the momentum wears off. We're a fickle bunch, apparently. So with all that being said, with all these rumors going around that they're going to be showing the Avengers Doomsday trailer ahead of Avatar 3, some people are showing up and talking about they want their money back because they went to go expect to see this trailer and nothing. But my thing is this: if y'all are going and spending $20 or 20, I don't even know if y'all seen it in regular theater, 3D or IMAX or whatever conglomerate, because the prices vary. But if you're spending that money just to go see a trailer and then you're mad, y'all are just dumb. Because I'm not willing to take that damn risk. But how you spend your money is how you spend your money. But you got to also understand that with that, however you spend your money is going to be a risk with that. And if it doesn't go your way, you can't expect a refund. But let's get into the story. So, according to Comic Book Movie, Avatar Fire and Ash arrives in theaters, as I said, this weekend, and while the third installment in James Cameron's blockbusting sci-fi saga didn't need to give audiences any additional incentive to show up, the decision to debut the first teaser trailer for Marvel Studios' Avengers Doomsday ahead of the movie certainly hasn't hurt anticipation. In fact, more than a few Marvel fans purchased tickets just to get a glimpse of some footage from the new MCU event film and have left their screenings disappointed when there was no sign of the teaser. So Disney kicked off Fire and Ash's international rollout at midnight screenings on Wednesday, but it seems certain theaters in parts of Europe and South America are not showing the trailer. So maybe they're only showing it in the US, but if that is the case, y'all should have said that. So apparently I gotta open some of the tweets on my page, because the ones that I have is in a different language, but when you open it, it's translated in English. Is that what Grok is doing over there? Oh, they talking about, yeah, they just translating stuff. So it says, one says POV, if you're going to see Avatar at PATH, and that's PATHE cinemas, you're all excited to see the first images of Avengers Doomsday at Marvel FR, since everyone's talking about it, and ... nothing. So that's one of them. And then another one, I believe it's in Portuguese. Give me a second before it opens up. Yeah, it is Portuguese. Because it says, one says, I want my money back. As I suspected, in my session at Cinemark, 10 minutes of advertisements and not a single trailer was shown. Well, wait a minute. Y'all get 10 minutes of advertisements? Not in America. We get 20 goddamn 9 minutes. Can we switch with Brazil? Because 10 minutes of trailers, I would rather that than a half an hour of me sitting there watching a bunch of mind-numbing trailers that I've already seen 8 million times in front of other movies. So yeah, it said, as I suspected, in my session at Cinemark, 10 minutes of advertisements and not a single trailer was shown, neither for Avengers Doomsday nor for any movie. Brazilian cinemas are a joke. Then they complain that the public doesn't go to the cinemas. So y'all out here advertising, and then y'all lying to the Brazilian people, apparently. So let me see if there was, then there was another one. I think there's another Portuguese. Oh no, it's French. So another one said, I didn't get an Avengers Doomsday trailer before Avatar at Disney Village. Then there was another one. So yeah, so basically it's like some theaters are screening, so that's basically saying that some theaters are screening the Doomsday trailer. And I've been hearing the reports, although I didn't see it. They said that the trailer has leaked online, but why don't y'all just wait until the movie comes out over the weekend if you want to be certain to see it? Or let some of these people out here be guinea pigs, and if there's some people out here that's nice enough to do it, why don't y'all just let people know which theaters are actually showing the trailer or where you saw it so that way they can go and purchase a ticket there? But then it might be hard because, with those advanced ticket purchases and open a weekend, it's hard to like try to be all nitpicky on which theater you want to see a trailer. So now they're reporting in related news regarding Avengers Doomsday. They said they've already secured a release date in Japan where it will arrive in theaters day and date with the US on December 18th, 2026. So apparently they're getting the same date as us. Now, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, as y'all know, were recently hit with significant delays, with Doomsday now set to arrive in theaters on December 18th and Secret Wars coming out December 17th, 2027. So the Russo brothers directed both movies and all that good stuff. So, and it's an all-star cast, as we all know. So far, people saying they've been going to the movie trying to see the trailer. It's not popping up, and leaving them disappointed, and now they want refunds. But like I said, this is the risk I'm gonna have to take. Yeah, I know that the media and everybody said this is the theaters that's gonna be showing this, or they didn't mention theaters. They basically said, oh look, the rumor wasn't even confirmed. I don't even know if it was confirmed. I've been hearing so much stuff that I don't even know if it was official by Disney where they said, yeah, if you go see if you're going to go see Avatar Fire and I'm going to say Fire and Trash, which probably it is. But if you're going to go to movies and see Fire and Ash, that there's no saying, or nobody specifically said that, yeah, we're going to be showing this in theaters. So if you go and decide to spend money based off of something that wasn't clarified, that's on you. So I just say this, just proceed with caution. If you're going to take the risk, you can't be mad that, oh yeah, I sat through 20 minutes of trailers and y'all didn't promise me what y'all promised me. Now, didn't they also say that we're supposed to see we're supposed to see like a 6-minute prologue or something to the Odyssey, which I'm actually looking forward to. They dropped a new poster and stuff today, or I think it might have been yesterday, but they dropped it this week. We'll just say that. And it looks pretty cool. This movie is probably going to be epic and expensive and stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing Christopher Nolan's next project in theaters. But yeah, so in the meantime, that's the latest story. I'll keep you guys developed story. Well, I'll keep an eye on this story as it develops is what I'm trying to say. And we'll check and I'll find out over the weekend once, we bring in those Avatar box office numbers and we sit and talk about it, whether or not the people got to see the trailer. So in the meantime, as I said, proceed with caution, because if you go to the movie, just know, and they ain't showing it, don't get mad if you spent all that good money that you've been working so hard on and they didn't give you what you thought you was paying for. Apparently they'll be like, well, we thought you was coming to see Avatar. So I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. That could be another question too. What if it's US only? But then that would be horrible, because um it's a global phenomenon. They're expecting to show it in theaters all around the world. So maybe they should have just told people that instead of it just being a US only type situation. And look, if it is a US only situation, if Disney thinks that they're going to be able to keep these trailers off of the internet or people from screen recording it and uploading it, if y'all think y'all going to be able to keep people from doing that and try to contain the situation, and you thinking that you're only going to keep it theatrical only and it's going to keep people going, then you're sadly mistaken, because people will find a way to see it. You already saw, like, there was a story that came out that the trailer for Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie, came out, and that Sadie Singer's playing a villain, and they were showing like unfinished special effects, because there's like a website apparently that you go to, and it's got a lot of watermarks and stuff on it, and they show you like trailers of upcoming movies and stuff that's come out, and people had to log in, they watched it, stuff spilled out. And so, and I think somebody even recorded it and posted it online, which I'm like, you're a dummy, because if you're doing this because you want a moment, why even do that when it's like, if I get a firsthand look especially if I'm doing this and I will get a firsthand look at what these upcoming teasers and stuff is about, and I get to look at this exclusively before everybody, I'm not risking all of that because I want to have a viral moment. Because those people would kick you out, be like, nope, we don't want, because we can't trust you. And so it's about trust in this industry. All right, so now speaking of Avengers Doomsday, let's get into this story. So apparently it has been leaked out, even though I think we all pretty much knew that he was going to be coming back. Chris Evans apparently is in the new Avengers Doomsday movie because the leaked trailer reveals the fact that he's in it. So one of the original Earth's mightiest heroes and America's ass is returning for Marvel Studios Avengers Doomsday as the MCU alum making his comeback in 2026. Despite denying that he is coming back to the MCU timeline, the end of the multiverse saga will indeed see one of the original Avengers back for the fifth team up film. So Chris Evans, as I was stating, is officially returning to the MCU. And the confirmation comes just days after an in-theater only teaser for the 2026 event film leaked online. Now, Evans reprises his role as Steve Rogers, who hung up his shield and retired from the superheroics by the conclusion of 2019's Avengers Endgame, where he time traveled back into the past so he can have a life with Peggy Carter, played by Haley Atwell, and he basically passed the shield on to Sam Wilson, who was supposed to get the opportunity to show what he could do in that last Captain America movie, Brave New World, which Brave New World turned out to be a piece of a turd. And it wasn't his fault by any matter of the situation. It would have been nice to see Sam Wilson take on the mantle and see what he could do with it. The problem was that whoever wrote the script and the MCU at that point, y'all really didn't have a point of view. You really didn't want to take risks. You didn't really want to do anything with that story. You basically just stuck Sam in a sequel to the Hulk, and that's not even his thing. That wasn't his world. That wasn't something he was a part of. You just threw him up in there, and you just thought, oh, let's make it a sequel to the Hulk, and let's just throw him up in there. But y'all not saying nothing. It would have been nice if they could have explored how he takes on his mantle, the insecurities and everything that's going around that, him trying to prove himself as the new Captain America, and not in a way where he could replace Steve Rogers, but the fact that he could come in and put his own spin on it and do his own thing. Like that line when he says, oh, when they say to him, oh, you're not Captain America, whatever, and you know, and playing up that whole situation, him trying to prove himself as the making Captain America his own thing, rather than him trying to be like something that everybody expects him to be. So for them to go in there and play that up, that would have been awesome. Plus dealing with the overall, how does this superhero navigate through a world where racism is prominent and all those other things. That would have been nice to explore that. But of course, then people decided, well, we can't worry about these 2% racists or bigots that sit up in here and want, I didn't want to make things work. I didn't want to make, because you don't want to deal with the issues that's actually going on in the world. You just want to sit there, shove popcorn down your throat, drink a 3-liter soda, and get diabetes while you just watching a bunch of spectacle on your screen. And it's like, that's not what the MCU has been about. Yeah, you get the razzle dazzle, but you always get a little substance with a lot of the stuff that we're watching on the screen. So it would have been nice to kind of get that. But they didn't really, that movie didn't stand for anything, and that's why it flopped. And now I feel like because y'all barely even gave Sam Wilson a chance to prove himself as Captain America, oh, we got to reverse course and bring Chris Evans back. And this is no shade to Chris Evans. I like Chris Evans. I love him as Captain America. That's going to be the biggest and best role he's ever played, because he plays anything outside of that, y'all not going to go spend the money to go see it. Y'all not going to go support him in any of the other projects that he's doing. And his wife just had a baby, so he got to pay, he got to feed, he got a family to feed, even though I'm sure he's got plenty of money that he's made from playing Captain America over the years. But, you know, he's still out here. He's still agile. He's still in great shape. He still looks youthful. He's in his 40s, so, but yeah, he still looks young. My generation 40s is not my parents' generation 40s or my grandparents' 40s. So he's still young and able to do it, and we'll see in what capacity they'll bring him back. But since I've said all of that, I believe that the comic book movie story actually gives us a taste of what we can expect from the trailer. So they said, Avengers Doomsday will play with time and reality as figures from various dimensions across the MCU, the Marvel multiverse, I should say, collide. So Cap is officially out of retirement. And remember, like, he went into time, he went to spend time with Peggy, then we see him get old. But then, of course, you can go back into time, and there could be other times of where he was younger. They could play with that whole situation. So Marvel planned to reveal multiple teasers for the movie in theaters attached to Avatar Fire and Ash, which began early preview screenings Thursday ahead of a wider release on December 19th. One such teaser revealed Evan's surprise comeback as Cap, with 3 other trailer variations in the works. However, as the latest James Cameron movie opened overseas, fans opened their holiday gift early as footage of the Cap teaser leaked online. And of course, we just did a story before this one where some people said they went to the movies in like France or Brazil or whatever, went to the movies, was looking for the trailer, and there was no trailer. So they said the clip shows Steve park his motorcycle in front of his home, head inside, and pick up his new baby as the camera pans around the camera pans around to reveal, because there's typos in here, Evans's face. It ends with a countdown to the movie's debut next year. Now, Iron Man veteran Robert Downey Jr. also returned to the MCU. This time, as y'all know, Victor Von Doom. The character was teased in a post-credit scene at the end of the Fantastic Four First Steps, which y'all already know did okay in theaters, didn't do all that well on Disney Plus, but that was the teaser. So, and they said that, as y'all know, they didn't even show the actor's face, so they probably had a stand. Of course, well, not probably. They most likely had a stand-in do that scene where they didn't even need Robert Downey Jr. on set. So, and we already know that Doctor Doom is the latest Thanos level threat of, regarding the comic book characters that's going to be in this whole situation. So we'll see how they do all of that. And they said Evans seemed adamant that Cap would not be back, and even went on record to say that he was happily retired. In a separate interview, he said, "It's sad to not be back with the band, but I'm sure they're doing something incredible, and I'm sure it's going to be that much harder when it comes out and you feel like you weren't invited to the party. This is why nobody trusts actors." Well, they said nobody trusts actors anymore. And I don't even know if you saying that you can necessarily blame the actor. It's the fact that he's an actor, so he's got to BS you and lie. Actors are paid to pretend. So I don't know if he was lying for the sake of, but this why we don't trust actors. It's the MCU people. It's you sign a contract. This is why they don't tell Tom Holland nothing, because he got a big mouth. Remember when he started spilling stuff from the Avengers movie in the past, accidentally on, I think it was NBC, where he went on one of those morning shows or something or another. So, and then Andrew Garfield was like, "Oh, I'm not coming back." And then they found out he was in the last Spider-Man movie with him and Tobey Maguire. So, and then that leaked online. So it could be the contract. They don't want y'all knowing stuff and letting it get out, so they have to lie, unfortunately. So that's what that is. And I think people need to understand it, because they want to keep some things under wraps and they want to keep it a secret. But nevertheless, I did see this over on the Russo brothers Instagram. So let me pull that up for a second. I don't know if y'all saw this. I was like, I must forgot how to do my damn show again. So yeah, here it is. It was this. They showed this, where you literally see the slate, and then it tells you 11 months, 29 days. Well, we have to do that again. And then it got the production company of the Russo brothers, HBO. So you see the slate again. And then it's literally the countdown: 11 months, 29 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. So pretty much teasing y'all to let y'all know y'all got almost a year before y'all can get all excited. So yeah, we don't need to go through who's going to be in the cast, because I think we've talked about that enough times on this show. Literally, they have people from Black Panther. We've got some of the old Avengers coming back, like Thor and Ant-Man and Sam Wilson and all of those people. Then we have the X-Men come in and all these other. So it's going to be a lot of people, and we'll see in what capacity they're going to do these teasers or this trailer, whatever you want to call it. But in the meantime, that's all we got on that. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Are you guys excited for this news regarding the fact that Chris Evans is returning to reprise his role as Captain America, Steve Rogers, aka America's ass, once more in this world? Who knows in what capacity they'll bring him back, but I'm sure it's going to be a significant role against him and Victor Von Doom. I just want to see a trailer. I just want to see what is going to be transpiring, and if we will be buying RDJ as Dr. Doom. Because like I said, so far I still see Tony Stark whenever I see him on my screen. So you got a lot of proving, I guess, to us naysayers Russo brothers. But in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. Hello, hello, thank you, thank you. Like you said, the powers that be probably felt they dealt with racism for the little bit of addressing it they did with Falcon and Winter Soldier. So they should have definitely went, yeah, exactly. If you're gonna do that movie, they should have went deeper into that because you can't not make this movie and not address the elephant in the room because especially when you're dealing with, I can't remember his name. What was his name? Isaiah? Carl Lumley, the older guy that got, he went and what was it, like the sleeper agent, when he went on sleeper agent on almost trying to kill the president. Like there should have been deeper dives into that and what they did to him and how he had to deal with being the first Captain America back in the day and the overall racism that exists in politics and that sort of thing. That should have been something they should have did, but they didn't want to be divisive. But you not taking a stand on anything made people not like that movie, and it wasn't a good film. I'm convinced that all of this casting might make the story too convoluted. Well, look, that's the thing with the Russo brothers. They got to figure out how to make all that work. Like, how do you bring all these characters in this film and tell the story under I would say 2.5, almost 3 hour movie? Because bringing all these people in here, this makes it feel like it's it should be a mini series on TV or something. All right, y'all. So now, since we've been talking about James Cameron, let's talk about James Cameron some more because Avatar and them is all out this weekend. So, James Cameron, as you know, has just released Avatar 3. Like I said, I don't know. I'm still on the fence on whether or not I want to see it, but y'all let me know if it's good or not when y'all go see it this weekend. But it looks like that with him in all these Avatar films, it looks like he's looking to revisit an old franchise of his that could use a little rejuvening, especially because they haven't made a good Terminator movie since the second one. So between the Terminator Aliens, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Titanic, filmmaker James Cameron was already hugely successful before helming Avatar. However, those movies have seen him break countless box office records. 2009's Avatar grossed $2.9 billion at the worldwide box office, and much of the surprise of many pundits. When Avatar: The Way of Water followed in 2022, it grossed a massive $2.3 billion. Cameron has spent years devoting his time to Pandora, and next up is this weekend's Avatar: Fire and Ash. However, while a fourth movie once seemed like a sure thing, the director has once again hinted at potentially moving on from Avatar after his third installment. Even if Cameron does return for Avatar 4, it appears he'll be less hands-on. Saying, I've got other stories to tell, and I've got other stories to tell. Within Avatar, he told the Hollywood Reporter, what won't happen is I won't go down the rabbit hole of exclusively making only Avatar for multiple years. I'm going to figure out another way that involves more collaboration. I'm not saying I'm going to step away as a director, but I'm going to pull back from being as hands-on with every tiny aspect of the process. Well, I think at this point, after 3 movies, you should have a team of people in place where it's like, okay, I trust you guys to know what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let y'all handle a lot of this stuff while I work on other projects, and you can film it, maybe bring somebody in and direct another one, but have the script in place, have all your storyboards and everything, and have it down to a T of what you want specifically done, and let another director handle it. Because you have 2 more movies coming out within, I think the next one comes out in 2029, and another one comes out in 2032. Like, who's got time to be spending all that time on it? And you ain't that young, sir. So you don't know how long you got for this earth if you get all that done. And if you got other ideas and other things you want to get made, then you have to get the cracking. So they said one of the many projects we know Cameron has his eye on is another Terminator movie. Now, addressing that, the filmmaker said, once the dust clears on Avatar in a couple of months, I'm going to really plunge into that. There are a lot of narrative problems to solve. The biggest, how do I stay enough ahead of what's happening to make it science fiction? Especially with everything going on with AI and everything. And you already know, like, there's been so many jokes, and I don't even think it's something we should be joking about. With the way that AI is and these tech bros and these oligarchs and everything, the way they've been handling a lot of, a lot of tech as of late, People are saying that literally Skynet is among us. So it's almost as if art is imitating life, and life, art imitating life, imitating art. You have to bring it back to that. So how do you make a lot of what's happening in today's climate regarding AI and, all of that stuff? How do you make it more science fiction and scary? Because it seems like it is kind of a scary thing at the moment. And how do you make people care about, Terminator again? So yeah, now he said that that echoes previous remarks from the True Lies Helmer, but he's now confirmed that this would be the first Terminator movie he steps behind the camera for without star Arnold Schwarzenegger in front of it. He said, "I could safely say he won't be in it. It's time for a new generation of characters. I insisted Arnold had to be involved in 2019's Terminator Dark Fate, and it was a great finish to him playing the T-800. There needs to be a broader interpretation of Terminator and the idea of a time war and superintelligence. I want to do new stuff that people aren't imagining." After praising Noah Hawley's Alien Earth, he made it clear that harkening back to the past isn't what he has planned for Terminator, saying, "I'm not criticizing it, but I was there for Aliens, 41 years ago? Something like that wouldn't be of interest to me. The thing that scare you the most are exactly the things you should be doing. Nobody should be operating artistically from a comfort zone." And he's absolutely right. It's like, yeah, when you feel uncomfortable about stuff, don't do it. But I actually like this idea of him not bringing back Arnold. I think Arnold has been used to death. It's time to come up with a new idea, do something new, something different, and come up with a whole new bunch of characters. So let's move on from Sarah Connor. Let's move on from John Connor. And let's move on from T-800. Because it's time to come up with new ideas, new characters, an interestingly new story, and where should the Terminator future go? Because one of the things, like, yeah, Alien Earth, I thought was okay. I didn't even finish the series. I thought it was all right. I just didn't finish the last 2 episodes. And it's probably because I just thought like it was all right. I didn't think it was like epic television. Maybe when I have the time, I'll boggle down and watch those final 2 episodes. But when it comes down to, and then of course the alien stuff, I loved what Fede Alvarez did with Alien Romulus, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they're going to be doing with that. Even though Fede's not going to be a part of the next Alien sequel because of Ridley Scott, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that. But in regards of this other, in regards to Terminator, because I've been saying this for the beginning, like after what they did with Alien, after they did what they did with also recently Predator Badlands was excellent. How they took a completely interesting IP about Predator and made a Predator the protagonist. Like, since we make a Predator the hero, and we started to get into their background and their culture and seeing how their world is and stuff, and seeing how that is explored, to me is way more interesting than doing the same old of Predator goes and hunts humans and wants to show that he is the badass of them all. Like, we've seen that story already, but seeing it from the point of view of a Predator and seeing him work in his world, I thought it was fascinating. So if they could find a new way to make Terminator interesting, if James Cameron could find a way to make his Terminator franchise interesting and also redefine the future of technology, which he did with the first 2 Terminator films, like how he pushed the boundaries of special effects and robotics and that sort of thing, things that we didn't expect to see in our lifetime, because the technology back in the 80s and the 90s was completely different. And for him to create this whole new, and especially even with Avatar, like how groundbreaking the special effects and the tech was for that. He's always been somebody that's been that guy that pushes the boundaries of visual spectacle. So I'm interested in seeing what he's going to bring with this whenever he decides to tackle another Terminator, hopefully sooner rather than later. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you be excited to see a whole new Terminator reboot with James Cameron behind it? But like I said before, it's like with Avatar, you got 2 more that you're trying to do, depending on how well this film does at the box office. But I think it'll do well financially. Let some other people tackle Avatar. Let them put their, if you have an idea of where you want the story to go, work on that. Pass the torch to another visionary filmmaker who could put that together while you work on your next Terminator project. Unless that'll be the thing you tackle afterwards, because if you have the next Avatar movie coming out in, 2029 or something or another, If you have something coming out in the next couple of years, and you could pretty much squeeze in between a new Terminator movie. So, with all that being said, I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now let's get into this entertaining conversation or topic. Let's talk about Superman. So it looks like, well, Batman actually, because it looks like David Corenswet, following a certain actor, has a lot of the sleuths on social media pretty much sleuthing because they think they know who our next Batman is going to be. So let's get into that story. Shout out to Comic Book Movie for this story. So one of the biggest topics of conversations y'all know regarding the DCU is who will play Batman. Because, next month, I believe they're going to start going into pre-production for the Batman Part 2. And I believe that they officially start shooting in like March. So they're getting the whip cracked for the Batman Part 2. But of course, they've been saying in an Elseworlds, like in James Gunn's DCU, they are casting for a new Batman, which I would have preferred if they would have just kept it one Batman. And that would be Robert Pattinson. But if Matt Reeves has his own world and vision that he has with that, let him do that. Ground it in realism. If you want to have another Batman over here on this spectrum and do more of the more razzle-dazzle spectacle like what we have with Superman and that sort of, and upcoming Wonder Woman, because they are discussing that, and Supergirl and Clayface. If we want to do the whole supernatural aspect of seeing these people with powers, then y'all can go over there and do that. I'm sure that people are smart enough to know it's like, okay, there's two different iterations of Batman. It's not going to clash. So, on one hand, rumors and speculation have persisted about Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne being merged into James Gunn and Peter Safran's world. On the other, there have been various, fan casts and apparent hints of actors who could take on the much coveted role. Now, an unlikely individual has inadvertently led fans to speculate about the Caped Crusaders casting once again. Superman star David Corenswet, eagle-eyed fans notice he started following one of the top fan casts for Batman. So the person that he pretty much was out here following was none other than Brandon Sklenar. So a lot of people think because he started following Brandon Sklenar over here on social media that that's who is going to be our new Batman. I was like, let me actually show y'all the posts. Hold on, because now I gotta bring it over a little bit to make sure. So yeah, hold on. Yeah, so basically it's showing like that here. You're saying that he's following him. Then you have this picture, which of course I had posted earlier. Well, I actually had that post. Where it's like, if you look at this picture, remember a couple of months ago, they what was it? Oh, it was back in July where you saw he was all musculed, because I like to play with the word musculed out. He was all muscular and stuff, and it was with his personal trainer. And said, training one of my best friends for his biggest role yet has been a effing blast. We pushed through the hard days and maximized the good. This is the result of showing up day after day for months and months, hitting 2+ hour grueling workouts and eating enough elk and salmon to feed a freaking village. If you can, you should. And that's crazy because I'm like, what role is he getting all buffed out for? It couldn't be that Taylor Sheridan show that he's on. And so I'm like, what are you working out that hard for? So of course, when people saw this picture, they automatically assumed that it was for the Batman, the Brave and the Bold, I should say. So now they said eagle-eyed fans notice he started following Brandon Sklenar on Instagram. The actor is known for his roles in It Ends With Us and Taylor Sheridan's 1923. As mentioned, he has been consistently linked with the role of Bruce Wayne. So you have people. So now, being arguably the centerpiece of the DCU, Corenswet giving Sklenar a follow has fans on social media theorizing that Sklenar is the DCU's Bruce Wayne. And then one person posted, "Guys," and then they showed Brandon Sklenar, and then they showed, they're basically saying that he's, part of the thing. Then another person posted, on everyone's soul, we eating good if he gets cast. Another person said, I hate to say it, but I see Bruce. And if you've been hearing him, like I think when he did, I'm trying to remember when he was out here promoting recently, it might have been that Sydney Sweeney movie that he's in that comes out this weekend, The Housemaid. And people saying like, why he doing his Batman voice? Like it was like all like real piercing and deep when he was talking. So people assume that, oh, he's doing his Batman voice. And so, yeah, one person said it's coming along perfectly. And then another person posted a Squid Game video of everybody getting excited on everyone's soul. We wanted this. So they're showing like all the people that was in Squid Game cheering. Then another person posted, oh my God, it's happened for The Office. Oh my God, it's happening. Everybody stay calm, stay effing calm. And so while it may seem a little cray-cray, it may seem a little irrational, it may seem like something that, okay, y'all reaching, basically. I don't know if it's necessarily reaching, because one of the things that we have noticed when it comes down to it is the fact that a lot of times actors or people just in general, artists, when they are working with someone, they normally follow them. How many times, like, especially, let's use, for example, y'all already know Madonna, or as I like to say, Madonna, has been working on this Confessions on a Dance Floor Part 2. There's been a couple of speculations regarding like some of the people that she's been following, like Fade and a whole bunch of other people that she's been, a lot of producers, a lot of other different musicians, dancers, that sort of thing that she's been following for this upcoming album. And people say, oh, she's working with these people on this record. I forgot what some of the producers, but off the top of my head, because I wasn't planning on even bringing up Madonna during this segment, but so they've been thinking with that. Now with this, also there's been times where you see certain directors following certain people. Like they was even saying that Adria Arjona being followed by James Gunn, people started speculating that she may be the new Wonder Woman, which of course James Gunn tried to do his usual James Gunn isms and debunk that theory. So I still believe that she is going to be Wonder Woman though, but he can say whatever the hell he wants. I mean, until proven otherwise. So yeah, actors and filmmakers have often followed people they're going to work with prior to their collaborations being announced. So there could be some truth to this. And plus, with a body looking the way that Brandon's was looking, let's go back to that picture. What is he working? Who's he working out for? It's like, when you're trying to get this ripped, what are you doing? There's no way I'm doing that and getting this ripped and eating all that elk or whatever the hell else he was eating for some damn 1923 if I'm going to be predominantly clothed. Like, what's the point? So it would make sense that he would be playing a Batman. He definitely is young enough. He's definitely got the body. He definitely looks like he would be a great addition to play that part. And I hope he actually ends up playing the part. I know everybody feels a way about him and because of the whole Sydney Sweeney, well, not even really Sydney Sweeney, the whole Blake Lively situation, that he was being politically correct and doing whatever he needed to do so that we could move up the ladder and didn't want to rock the boat with Blake and her husband and that whole drama. So that way, and then he ended up getting, Blake basically put in a word for him with Paul Feig, or Feig, however the hell you say his last name, to be, because he directed The Housemaid. So because he was doing the thing that he did in regards to the whole between her and Justin Baldoni, she put in a word for him to get the part, where he went on some show and said, oh no, it was Sydney Sweeney that was fighting for him. It wasn't Sydney. You must be getting your blondes mixed up. It was Blake Lively. So because you did her a big one, you was out here making it seem like she was a victim in this whole situation with her and Justin Baldoni. So she did you a big one. She put in a good word with somebody who she's close with, Paul Feig, and you ended up getting a gig out of it. Just own it. And I understand you trying to move up the ladder because you aren't up and coming. You're not that well known. You've done a couple of little things. I mean, I liked you in Drop. I thought you were good in that film. I've seen 1923. I haven't seen The Housemaid yet. And so, I like you whenever you pop up in stuff. So do you, is what I'll say. So look. So yeah, while while the speculations, we have every right to feel the way we do. Let's take it with a grain of salt for now until proven otherwise. I'm sure we will hear, who knows when we'll hear an official announcement for who's going to be Batman. But let's not just be so quick to run away with this story. Be like, oh my God, it's official, it's official. It's not official until it's officially announced. But I mean, for all we know, David Corenswet could be starring with Brandon Sklenar in an independent film. I mean, don't think that David Corenswet is only going to be playing Superman for the rest of his life. I'm sure that he wants to jump in and play other parts. And who knows? That's probably why he's following him. But in the meantime, I'll just go along with the fact that, yeah, you about to be Batman. So let's all just continue with that rumor and continue to spread it. So I want to say, Brandon Sklenar did say in the Hollywood Reporter in April 2025, he wanted to be cast as Batman and already had ideas on how to portray the beloved hero. He said, I have my own ideas on the character if that ever comes to fruition. He was my favorite comic book character as a child, and he's superior because he's a real man. I think there's a lot more to explore there, and there's a way to do it that makes it very real. So if it ever comes around, I would gladly take that torch, and I would not take it lightly. So I'm sure, who knows, maybe there'll be a collaborative effort when it gets around to talking about when that movie gets made, unless James Gunn has a specific vision for that character, whatever, or whoever's going to be doing it. It's supposed to be Andy Muschietti, I believe, who, did the It TV series, It Welcome to Derry. But who knows if Andy Muschietti is even still part of The Brave and the Bold. I have no idea if he's still a part of it. But if Brandon gets it, I would definitely love to see his take on the role and all that good stuff. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you like to see Brandon Sklenar as our Batman within the DCU? You already know my answer on that one, but I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. There's a comment to that pic on Brandon's IG from 5 months ago suggesting to James Gunn how he should be. Yeah, and I remember James Gunn was kind of like denying it or whatever the case was, but I definitely want to see him play that role. I'm like, you don't build your body like that if you're not playing a superhero. But that's a long time. That's like a long time to be you're trying to maintain that build. That's like 5 months ago. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. Oh, hold on, because I gotta take this. I forgot I left the comment in. All right, y'all. Let's get back into the show, okay? And now let's get into this Sinners news. So congratulations to Sinners. So while we sit and wait with bated breath to find out who's got the Oscar nominations, I'm sure that there will be some Sinners will be in the Oscar conversation. Already is, but I'm sure I'm hoping it'll be official that they get a couple of big nominations outside of effects and music and all the other stuff. Like we want actor stuff. I want Wunmi Mosaku to get a Best Supporting Actress. I want to see Michael B. Jordan as Best Actor and Supporting because he played two parts. And I would like to see Delroy Lindo get nominated. So, but if it doesn't, that's no skin on my nose. I don't want to hear any riots. First of all, we always been at the forefront of changing things and pushing boundaries, and we shouldn't be sitting around here waiting for a white man's handout. Because I know a lot of people still pissed off about the fact that certain conglomerates like Variety and Rolling Stone and all these other places didn't put Sinners in their top 2, 5, or at all. They didn't even put it on the list of their favorite movies of the year. And of course, with that, people have been crying racism. And don't get me wrong, I have been windmilling hard on the fact of people out here with their blind racism or their blatant racism, whichever side of the spectrum you stand on. And people have been more prominent with their racism now more than ever because of this moron in the fucking White House. But with all that being said, sometimes it's like you get so bombarded with a lot of racial undertones and overtones that sometimes when I sit back, I'm like, damn, are they really being racist or am I paranoid and am I overreacting? So sometimes I can't even tell. And so when people were not putting this movie in their favorites list or whatever, because they're like, well, if you don't put it in your list, then you're racist. And if you put it on your list, it's because you don't want to get the backlash from the fans. So it's like, damn if you do and damn if you don't. And I was like, look, let people do what they do. If you like the movie, you like the movie. If you didn't like the movie, you didn't like the movie. But they said that they picked some people picked a black film, but it was a black film nobody never heard of. Whatever, apples or oranges, whatever. But that's why I was like, let's not even worry about the mainstream and all these other people. If they don't want to give props to black films. Who cares? I'm always please, white people, please, palm folks, please, clear folks. Can y'all just acknowledge the fact that we out here, we want to be seen? Stop looking for that white approval. It's just, let's go out here, let's get these awards, let's do what we got to do. Don't worry about them people over there. Let them have their stuff. And that's what I like about the Black Real Awards, because, you know, if these white conglomerates aren't going to give us the flowers, then the Black Real Awards will. I don't know if Soul Train does film, but if they do, they'll give them the awards. The BET Awards will give the awards, because I do think they do film and acting and all that. They merge all that up in there. And the NAACP Image Awards, if they go and do that, then let that be the situation. Let them give the awards. But also, y'all got to show up for this stuff too. I'm talking about for the ratings and you celebrities. Stop always being like, oh yeah, I got to show up at the Oscars, but I'm not going to show up at the black conglomerates, because we know how y'all get with that too. Now that I can get off my soapbox after I said all of that, let's get into the official story. So the Black Real Awards are back, and once again, they're reminding Hollywood where the culture truly lives. Today, the organization announced the nominees for the 26th Annual Black Real Awards, honoring excellence across Black film and television, and this year's slate is nothing short of historic. Ryan Coogler's blockbuster vampire movie Sinners is the most nominated film at the 26th Annual Black Real Awards. The Warner Brothers film earned a record-breaking 21 nominations, the most in the Black Real Awards history, including nods for Outstanding Film, Outstanding Director for Ryan Coogler, Outstanding Lead Performance, Michael Bakari Jordan, 3 nominations for Outstanding Supporting Performance, Miles Catton, who played the kid with the magic touch. Damn, I forgot his name because it's been so long since I've seen the movie. The one who was singing, and they wanted his voice. And so then we got Miles Catton, Delroy Lindo, who I've been windmilling hard for, and Wunmi Mosaku. And 4 nominations in the original song category, joining Sinners in the outstanding film category, are Hedda, Highest to Lowest, One of Them Days, and Wicked for Good. The Black Real Awards have always been about celebrating the brilliance and resilience of Black storytellers, said Tim Gordon, founder and director of the Black Real Awards, announcing the nominees. This year's nominees represent the very best of our culture, creativity, and community. We are thrilled to honor their contributions and look forward to sharing their achievements in the world. And like I said, if you build it, they will come. So let's not be waiting for these other people to acknowledge us. We create our own stuff. The second most lauded film is Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest, which I think is on Apple TV. I still haven't gotten around to watching that yet. That's with Denzel. It earned 11 nominations, including for Denzel Washington, A$AP Rocky, and Jeffrey Wright standout performances. Other top contenders include R.T. Thorne's 40 Acres and Rungano Neone's On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, each earning 9 nominations. I wonder if that's the foreign film that they added to these award shows and overlooked Sinners. I wonder if that's the film. Now, also, One of Them Days, starring Keke Palmer and SZA, which I haven't seen yet, and I heard that movie's actually funny, with 8 nominations, and Hedda with Tessa Thompson, which I heard was all right. It got 6 nominations, and it was directed by Nia DaCosta, who her next film is The Bone Collector, 28 years later. The outstanding lead performance contenders are Danielle Deadwyler for 40 Acres, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good, Andre Holland, Love Brooklyn, Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another, Dwayne Johnson's a man of color, because he's short on that like it. The Smashing Machine, Jordan for Sinners, Jonathan Majors for Magazine Dreams, Palmer for One of Them Days, Thompson for Hedda, and Washington for Highest to Lowest. Now, founded in 2000, the Black Real Awards, also known as the Bolts, is the longest-running awards organization directed to honoring excellence in film and television by African Americans and those of the African diaspora. Now, winners will be announced during a virtual ceremony on February 16th. Additional information about the awards and the full list, you can actually head over to Black Real, and that's REEL awards.com. Well, y'all can actually see how it's spelled in the lower third. But yeah, so shout out to the Black Real Awards. I actually like hearing about this, and congratulations to Sinners, because it was one of the most prominent and most important films of the year, especially in regards of a lot of the subject matter and for the culture. So I'm definitely excited for you guys. So congratulations. And I definitely want to hear from you all. What do you guys think of this story about Sinners and their multitude of nominations for the Black Reel Awards? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now let's move on from the Black Reel Awards and let's talk about the Oscars, because it looks like once 2029 comes, the Oscars has found itself a new home. They'll be vacating the premises of ABC and heading straight to the E-Tube. You know, shout out to a friend of mine because he said that his mother would call YouTube the E-Tube. I mean, at the end of the day, it is quite an entertaining streamer. So I would say entertainment tube. Maybe that's what they should have called it. But anyway, let's get into the story. So in news that sent shockwaves across the entertainment industry, the Oscar ceremony, which has aired on NBC, and I did not know this. I mean, I said NBC, ABC. I had no idea the Oscars have been on ABC for half a century. So since 1976, that makes it 50 years that it has appeared on the network. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that. Like, I literally thought like it's been like maybe a decade or something. Maybe because I ain't really been paying attention like that. But yeah, 50 years it's been on ABC. So in 2029, it will be moving to YouTube and will be broadcast by the streamer through at least 2033. And this is according to AMPAS, which, for those you don't know, stands for the American Motion Pictures Art and Sciences. And this was announced yesterday, which was Wednesday. So the Google-owned service outbid other offers, including one from the Oscars' longtime home, ABC, which has been hosting the event since, as I said, 1976. Disney's deal runs through 2028. Now, YouTube's first show will be the 101st Oscar ceremony, and its deal will run through 2033. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences said Wednesday in announcing the deal. It is a major move for YouTube and marks a major shift as streaming takes on more and more live events. Netflix, for instance, has the SAG Awards, which has recently been rebranded as the Actors Awards in 2026. I don't know if I like the Actors Awards, but then again, it is about actors, and SAG is the union. So I don't know if I'm fully wrap my head around liking that title, but whatever. So it means that the Oscars, the red carpet coverage, behind the scenes content, and governor's ball access will be available for free around the world. The pack also includes access for YouTube for events such as include the Governor's Awards, the Oscars nominations announcement, the Oscars nominees luncheon, the Students Academy Awards, the Scientific and Technical Awards, Academy member and filmmaker interviews, film education programs, and podcasts. Saying, quote, the Oscars are one of our essential cultural institutions honoring excellence in storytelling and artistry. This is according to Neil Mohan, CEO of YouTube. Partnering with the Academy to bring this celebration of art and entertainment to viewers all over the world will inspire a new generation of creativity and film lovers while staying true to the Oscars' storied legacy. So while they said, while on the surface, the move appears to be a blow for ABC, whose exclusive negotiating window expired earlier this year, insiders suggest that it's a relief. Deadline understands that the amount of money that the Academy was looking for and the amount that YouTube was willing to pay didn't make sense for Disney, which has monetized the event but has faced challenges given the nature of the types of films that genuinely make up the Oscar winners. Saying ABC has been the proud home of the Oscars for more than half a century. We look forward to the next 3 telecasts, including the show's centennial celebration in 2028, and wish the Academy of Motion Picture Art and Sciences continued success. This is according to an ABC Entertainment spokeswoman. We are thrilled to enter into a multifaceted global partnership with YouTube to be the future home of the Oscars and our year-round Academy program. Okay, it's going to go on and so on. So y'all don't really care about all of that gobbledygook what they say, which, oh, we're so thrilled to be a part of the thing. Here's my overall thoughts on the situation. I'm actually glad they're going to YouTube because quiet as it's kept. Do y'all watch linear television? So this to me is great news. They will no longer, like in my opinion, I feel like because they no longer have to cut themselves to a specific runtime, The hosts, as well as the winners, could be as unfiltered as they want. Also, people tend to watch, like myself, watch more streaming programs than linear television. And I know the networks are trying to fight it with everything they've got, but the ratings every year are slipping on ABC. So YouTube, in my opinion, with it being free, I know some people are like, well, isn't it already free? Yeah, it's on a network, but most people aren't watching TV the way that we all grew up watching TV. I wouldn't even know where to find ABC on a TV. All I know is I have Hulu, so I can watch ABC stuff there. YouTube is universal, it's global, so everybody can watch it at any time, or even if depending on your time zone, if the awards is up there and it comes on while you asleep or whatever the case is, you can catch it at any time, rewind it back, or not even rewind it back, you play it, and you can watch it however you want to watch it. So to me, this sounds like a pretty good idea for them to be doing that. And like I said, it's going to reach a much bigger audience. Now, the question I do wonder is, how they're going to work out the ad situation? Like, are there going to be ads playing during the program? Once it comes on, you know how, like, if you don't actually pay for YouTube, if it's not YouTube Premium, will they be just, are they going to throw ads in there? How are they going to be able to accumulate and make this money with it being on YouTube? So those are the kind of questions I have, and it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. But and like I said, when I first heard this story, I hate having to toot my horn whenever I'm right. But like I said, when y'all was sitting up here bitching and moaning about, Netflix is getting a studio. Netflix doesn't have a studio. It just distributes a lot of stuff. It distributes a lot of content. So with them now owning Warner Brothers Discovery, and there's a whole thing that they broke down in regards to that, and I wanted to do it on today's show, but I'm like, that's gonna be a long thing, especially with the recent story about Paramount sending another letter and trying to get do another bid, and Warner Brothers Discovery turned it down. They're like, no, we're committed to working with Netflix, and so Paramount, you snooze, you lose, because we already see that mess y'all did over there with that Erica Kirk town hall. And Glasses over there with her dumb self, and they talking about they're gonna do more town halls. But anyway, so I like this whole idea with ABC and YouTube. And like I said before, Netflix's biggest competition isn't all these other studios. Netflix's biggest competition is YouTube. YouTube is in the content creating business. A lot of it could be like a nobody or some of the biggest people on the planet has an opportunity to create their own platform, become the person that they want to become, do whatever show they want to do, and that's great. Except with Netflix, they're looking for big names like The Breakfast Club and Chelsea Handler and stuff. They're not giving little old me, at least not yet, an opportunity to have their own show on Netflix. Hopefully, I'm not even going to speak hypothetically. I say in the future, years down the line, a couple of years down the line, maybe within the next 5 years, I hope to have my own show on Netflix, whatever the case, if they pay good. Well, which I'm sure they probably do. They're talents. But that's the dream, to have a show and all this other stuff on a bigger platform. But you can't get no bigger right now than Netflix. So as I say that, Netflix's biggest competition is YouTube. Which is why they're battling back and forth with the podcast, all these different contents and all these other things that's popping up. And now you look at the live streaming. So now YouTube has a live streaming show like the Oscars. So that's where the future of all this is going. Now, it's only a matter of time before we see what they're going to do with the musical stuff. Does that mean once the contract dries up over there at CBS with the Grammys, could we possibly be seeing the Grammys on not CBS. CBS is trash. Will we be able to see the Grammys on YouTube or any other type of streaming, or maybe fan base? Shout out to Isaac Hayes' son. I think it's Isaac Hayes III, but he's got fan base. It was his own little thing. So it'd be cool to see where the future of more award shows, will other award shows follow now that Oscars made history by going to YouTube. So in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Do you think it's a good idea that YouTube has accumulated the rights starting in 2029, the rights for the Oscars? I say it is a good idea because that's the future. The future is people watch streaming services more than they watch regular TV. And that is the future. So I know there's some people that was complaining, like Paramount, that was one of the complaints that they had regarding people, with all this stuff going on, it's going to destroy like how people watch something. I mean, we're already there. Where have you been? It's like people aren't watching TV the regular way anymore. If you really believe that mess, then why do we have Paramount Plus? Because y'all jumped into the whole streaming service game too. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. It might, but I'm sorry, the older demographic, y'all gonna have to get with the program. Otherwise, I mean, it's not that hard to click on YouTube and figure out how to watch the Oscars. So, like, you can just type it in, or if you got any kids or whatever the case is, they'll just have to show you. So, the concept of watching the Oscars on YouTube is insane. They might as well take our brains out of our heads if they want us addicted. I mean, that's how people are watching it anyway. People are on social media while the Oscars is on, tweeting away and on Facebook and Instagram, because I see it. Whenever the Oscars is on, whenever the Grammys, when all these award shows is on, people are on their phones typing away, what's trending and all other stuff. So we're already there. Not back in my day. Well, look, the way that this new generation is, y'all don't consume things the way that my generation did when we didn't have, when the internet wasn't the internet, we had to rely on magazines and all these other things to see what people were wearing, or when Joan Rivers was on the red carpet, who are you wearing? Like, we had to rely on e-news and all that other stuff. Those days are gone since we got the internet. Well, the reason why it's so many years away is because ABC's contract ends in 2028. So that's why once 2028 is over and done with, when you renew the contract, they weren't able to win the bid. So that's when Netflix came in and threw about 8 Brinks trucks versus, ABC 6. They came up with 8 Brinks trucks and were like, here we go. This is what we giving you this, and that's where you got to go. And that's where they went. So that's why there's so many years away, because the contract ends in 2028. So imagine having to log in onto the clock app. Ew, not the clock app. Now, I wouldn't want to. I don't know. I wouldn't want to watch it on TikTok. Although I will say this, I don't know if you heard, but the Oscars, TikTok has an award show coming. I believe Sierra's hosting it. I have to look at it because I saw that the other day. I think it was on Complex or something or another. They mentioned that, they TikTok got their first award show, and they said that it's being headlined by Sierra. That should be interesting. All right, y'all. So now let's get into this story. So I have to, of course, come in here and defend Gen Z, because y'all be a lot of people, there's this stereotype going around that Gen Z watches everything on their phone, that Gen Z doesn't want to interact with people or do anything, and this, that, and the other. Well, it looked like there was a study that was done and said that Gen Z have been taking their butt to the movies. So they do like watching things on a big screen. They don't necessarily sit and watch everything on their phone or their tablet or watch things illegally. So Cinema United, the world's largest trade association for movie exhibitors, unveiled its annual report addressing the current state of theatrical exhibition. Now, rather than focusing solely on box office grosses, the report digs into audience behavior and reveals a notable shift. Moviegoing among Gen Z, those from their early teens to late 20s, jumped 25% over the past year, making the biggest gain of any demographic. Gen Z moviegoers logged an average of 6.1 theater visits annually, up from 4.9 the previous year, with 41% of the demographic attending the cinema 6 times or more. Jesus. They said the two genres, because I was about to ask, I'm like, what's the movies that they were actually running to the movies to see? So they said that what drove them to the theaters were video game adaptations, would be a Minecraft movie and anime with the Chainsaw Man. I also wonder if Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was also a reason to get Gen Z out into the theaters. Because when I went to go see the movie, there was a lot of Gen Zers in there. I remember when I went to go see, even though I think that came out, when did that come out? Like a year or two ago? The last Terrifier movie. There was a lot of young people in that film, in the theater, which surprised me. But then again, Art the Clown is like a new generation is like Gen Z equivalent of Jason and Freddy, so it shouldn't be a surprise to hear that. But then they also want to say, if you're searching for reasons to be optimistic about the state of movie theaters, this study offers one of the more encouraging signs. Cultural momentum is shaped by younger audiences, and they're all showing up. Cinemas remain very much on the radar. There's been a clear change lately. At the last few screenings I went to, the audience skewed heavily Gen Z, while older moviegoers seem far more content to stay home after fully embracing streaming during the pandemic. Platforms like Letterboxd also appear to be part of the equation, turning Gen Z online enthusiasm into ticket sales. On a broader metric, 77% of Americans went to the movies at least once this year. Their share of frequent moviegoers, six or more visits, rose by 8%, and enrollment in theater loyalty programs increased by 15%. Well, yeah, I enrolled in A-List this year, and it let me know with under A-List, I went to the movies like 13 times under my A-List this year. Also, I do agree with this whole situation that a lot of younger people are going to the theater, whereas older moviegoers want to stay home after they, I guess before the pre-pandemic, older people were kind of looking at it as like, oh yeah, I got to go out to the movies every week, whatever the case is. But post-pandemic, there's like, you know what? I actually enjoy watching a film in the comfort of my own house. I don't got to deal with. I can pause the movie whenever I want to go to the bathroom. I don't have to deal with people on their phone. I don't have to deal with people talking in the middle of the movie when it's a quiet moment. You want to have a conversation or you want to have your phone up bright. It's so many different headaches. And luckily, when I've been going to the movies, I haven't had to deal with any kind of headaches. So I'm okay with going. And I guess probably because I'm a movie fan and a movie fan, I'm going to go to the theaters and want to check things out opening weekend, depending on what it is. But since I got A-List, it's like, you can watch 4 movies a week and it's literally under that same price that you pay every month. So I totally get it. But I think a lot of young people want to maybe the reason why they're going is because they want to experience the things that we experienced growing up, where we like going to the movies and all this other stuff and that camaraderie. Whereas they grew up in a digital world, they don't really have that sense of connection or being in a room with a group of people and feeling what that's like. So they're liking that. And I think also with Stranger Things, remember we had that conversation about Stranger Things that I saw a video, I think it was from CBS or something, where they said a lot of young people, a lot of Gen Zers are discovering shopping malls. They're going to malls now and hanging out there. And it's because Stranger Things, them watching that show and seeing those scenes of the 80s, how in the 80s and 90s, of how we went to the mall and all the other stuff, they want to experience that. So shout out to Gen Z. So like I said, they're good for something. Because we're going to windmill on them later when we get to that heated rivalry conversation. So of course I have to get the positive out the way before we get to the negative later on. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the latest statistics running Gen Z are attending going to the movies more than any other demographic, that it rose 25%. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Kind of over topic, did you know that majority of Gen Z can't read cursive? Yeah, I think they can't read or write it, because my generation, we had to learn how to write cursive. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of this generation, y'all grew up with computers, y'all grew up with phones and tablets and things, and they don't teach y'all how to write in print or script or whatever the case is. Yeah, y'all need to learn how to write. They should be still teaching y'all, regardless of what type of tech. Y'all should be learning how to write cursive, especially if you open up a bank account or whatever, you have to sign your signature. You said I first heard about calligraphy about 8 years ago, and I never looked back. Why was I thinking, child, not calligraphy? I was thinking hieroglyphics. That's what we should be learning too. Yeah. But that's crazy though. But I'm not surprised at all. Cleveland says it's kind of shocking. Okay, y'all. So now, let's get into this Rob Reiner story. So yeah, more and more details is coming out regarding Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele. There's a lot of stuff that was coming out. And I told y'all that As the story progresses, more and more and more and more and more and more and more tea is going to be spilling regarding what was going on and this sort of thing. So there's a lot that we need to get into. So let's get right into it. So apparently, according to the LA County Medical Examiner's Office, Rob and his wife Michele died of multiple sharp force injuries. So the manner of death was ruled a homicide. Reiner, who starred in the 1971 sitcom All in the Family before directing films like This Is Spinal Tap, When Harry Met Sally, and most recently, This Is Spinal Tap 2. That was the last movie he did. A Few Good Men and Stand By Me was found unalive on Sunday afternoon in his Brentwood home alongside Singer, his wife for over 3 decades. Reiner was 78 and Singer was 70. Nick Reiner, Rob and Michele's son, was arrested on Sunday night after near the USC campus and booked on suspicion of red rum Monday morning. He was charged with 2 counts of red rum in the death of his parents on Tuesday afternoon. The charges carry a maximum sentence of life without parole, or what they've been seeking, the unalive penalty, according to the LA District Attorney. Hochman said at a press conference, prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved. A decision on whether or not to pursue the unalive penalty will come from the DA's office at a later date. Hochman was elected DA in 2024. He reinstated the unalive penalty. See, it's like the constantly having to fight the algorithms over here. In the reversal of his predecessor, George Gascon's moratorium, California has suspended all executions since 2019. However, what they were saying is that because regardless of how you felt, if you was on the left or on the right, it shouldn't even be made a political thing. But you already know that politics has become pop culture, especially with that moron in the White House making everything about him or trying to turn everything into a political situation for his own game. There were people that were pretty much saying out here that there's a lot of powerful people in Hollywood that loved Rob Reiner and want his son taken to the chamber, if you know what I'm saying. I think you do. So there are people out here that loved him and wanted that. However, they're also saying that because of who Rob Reiner was, that's not something that he would want his life to be taken, even though his son took his life. Now, in addition to all of that, there was more tea that came out about Nick, where they were basically saying that he feared his son, Rob, feared his son, Nick, was going off the rails amid the 32-year-old's battle with substance abuse. So according to reports, it said the allegedly violent. I mean, if you took out your parents, it's not allegedly violent, especially if he was covered in blood. It's not alleged. He did it. But I guess innocent until proven guilty. So they said the allegedly violent and super aggressive 32-year-old made his parents' lives hell with violent outbursts, a source told the Daily Mail on Thursday. The insider claimed that the late couple did everything to help that boy, not that boy, child, before their shocking deaths on Sunday. Michele would say, "I don't know what else we can do," the outlet claimed. The source noted that Nick, who had been charged with 2 counts of first-degree red rum, was always deeply troubled, but this magnified the horrific events with his drug addiction struggles. On the surface, they had everything, but the tragedy of Nick is always lurking there in the background, the insider alleged. That worry never went away. The outlet similarly claimed on Monday that the ticking time bomb had no control and was prone to meth-fueled outbursts from breaking things to punching walls. Now, Rob and Michele, who were respectively 78 and 70 at the time of their unaliving, allegedly threatened to call authorities multiple times, but in the end didn't. The pair were found slain in their Brentwood home on Sunday, with Nick arrested after that same day. The suspect appeared in court on Wednesday wearing a suicide vest. Well, that's because they do feel like he will try to unalive himself, and that's not something that they want to necessarily have him do. So they said he is being held without bail at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in LA, with his arraignment scheduled for January 7th. Now, Nick's siblings, Romy and Jake, have also weighed in and broken their silence on, you know, the situation on the unaliving of their parents. And they neglected to name him in the heartbreaking statement they released about the tragedy, saying words cannot even begin to describe the unimaginable pain we are experiencing every moment of the day, the duo wrote, of losing their best friends. The horrific and devastating loss of our parents is something that no one should ever experience, they continued. Now, I should point this out that their daughter, Romy, lived across the street. I think she had a roommate, whatever the case was. She was supposed, I think the parents was supposed to meet up with Barack and Michele. We already heard that story. I think a masseuse came by the house, couldn't get in. So they phoned Romy. Romy went over to the house across, because like I said, she lived across the street. So Romy went into the house to see what was going on, discovered her father, didn't even know her mother had been red rummed as well until she had found her body later on. So it's just horrific to go up in a house and see something like this happen. The fact that it's like that being forever etched in your brain, that I'm walking into my parents' house and I'm seeing them unresponsive in a pool of blood wherever they found them. So I could definitely feel for her right now. She's probably going to go through a lifetime of therapy, especially dealing with her brat ass of a brother, who they said was a nuisance, a nightmare. There was another story that came out. Let me find it. Where they said that he had asked celebrities a bevy of questions. There was what is his name? Bill Hader was one of the people that he had asked, who was in Stephen King's It Part 2. I think he played, who did he play? He played Richie. I can find the dang story because there's a lot of there was something like how they found him. They found him with the throat slit. And wait, I think I went down too far because now I'm like looking in the archives of my website for that story. No, that's not it. Oh, I found it. So, yeah, they said the questions he asked was, what's your name, what's your last name, and are you famous? This is what he asked Bill Hader at the Holiday Bash. And this is according to the Wall Street Journal. They said Bob had introduced his troubled son to the It Chapter 2 actor who's 47 earlier at the party. Why do I think Bill Hader was a lot older? He looks older than 47, shit. Well, and then they said the B and Charlie writer, 32, also pestered other partygoers with the same questions and was eventually asked to leave. Why you ask, you that's so hard up on meth, on being a Methodist, that you had no idea if like the people you're looking at, if they famous or not? Or maybe he's not so caught up in celebritydom like some of us are. And then they went on to say that, he got into a real nasty argument with his parents during the ordeal or whatever. So now they also said that Robert and Michele were also survived by the director's 61-year-old daughter, Tracy, from a previous marriage, who expressed her shock over the news on Monday, saying, I came from the greatest family ever. I don't know what to say. Now, Robert and Michele had an epic love story as they got married in 1989, more than a decade after All in the Family. Alum's divorce from his first wife, Penny Marshall. Now, cinematographer Barry Markowitz, who stayed at the couple's home the month before their murders, told Page Six it was one big love fest there, except like when he would go on his little stupors and his binges or whatever and was acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The parents did whatever they could to try to help him. And there's no, it's hard. It's no help. There's no helping an addict. They have to be the ones that have to walk through that door. You can only do it so much, but I can totally understand when you feel like you're helpless, your hands are tied, you don't know what to do. You try to keep them close to you, try to do the best you can with, your children, but sometimes it's no shade, but sometimes your children be a lost damn cause and you got to cut the cord. And I understood that was like something that he wasn't willing to do and Michele wasn't willing to do. And this, unfortunately, it had to happen this way for, because from what I was hearing also many of stories that he knew that his parents were, and I said this before, he knew his parents had a weakness for trying to do whatever they could for him. He took advantage of it. He took advantage of their love. He took their kindness for weakness. He knew that he could just destroy things and break things up and do whatever he wanted to do with no kind of consequence, because that's just basically, he was taking advantage of them. And they thought that they were helping him, but that's not really like helping him. In a way, when you look at it, me looking at it from a logical standpoint, you were enabling his behavior. So unfortunately, this is how it happened. And the way for him to have, I guess, learned his lesson, if he ever will, is that he have to do it rotting in prison for the rest of his damn life if he don't get the unaliving penalty. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this sad story, the latest, on Rob and Michele Reiner, them passing, their cause of death, what their children had to say about the whole situation, and Nick being a piece of drug addict shit, who's literally going to either spend the rest of his life in prison or end up getting a needle put in his arm. So, and I ain't talking about heroin. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Mm-hmm. Like, the more you hear about this, it's like becomes more and more sad. I heard they had a hit. Yeah, that was always the story that came out. An addict won't stop what they're doing until they're ready. Absolutely. And who knows if he'll get the help he needs when he's in prison. I watched enough episodes of Intervention and know that. Plus, I've known people who dealt with, it's just sad that, and then it goes to show that it don't matter how much money and how successful and how famous you are. People deal with it in their own way. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. And let's talk about The View. So apparently yesterday's episode of The View, they were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and the fact that she had gone in on the president of the United States, the cosplaying president of the United States, because everything this man doing is not presidential. And if you think this is what a president does, then you clearly don't be paying attention to politics, or you don't pay attention to history, because no president has acted and behaved the way that he does. Maybe Richard Nixon with some of the stuff he was doing back in the day at Watergate. But for the most part, this has been the most unpresidential, unconscionable piece of shit in the White House since, well, I'd say in my lifetime, because I wasn't alive when Nixon was president. But now that I've got all that out the way, apparently the conversation came around during Hot Topics, it became a conversation about Marjorie Taylor Greene doing an interview with CNN, and the Republican politician called Donald Trump's response to Rob Reiner's death classless and claimed that it caused a major fallout among his supporters. Because there were people, some of the stuff I was writing about Rob Reiner, I did have some maggots came up here with some negative shit. They asses got sent to the block party. They probably still rotting up in there. And there was some other things that I had said, and they be jumping them in the comments. I'd be ready to windmill. So verbally. And physically if I need to. But anyway, so but all this other stuff, now Joy Behar jumped in and was like, okay, y'all giving this lady a little too much credit. So instead of me sitting here running my mouth and breaking it on down, I thought as a class, courtesy of Twitter, I'm glad you put the clip up, because normally they don't be putting the clips up of The View and stuff. But they had it up there. So let's play this whole scenario, and then we will come back and talk. Please hold.
One-time MAGA all-star Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling you-know-who out for his disgusting comments about the death of Rob and Michele Reiner, and claims he's taken the GOP right down with her. Take a look.
I thought that statement was absolutely completely below the office of the President of the United States, classless.
You have no problem calling out what the president said, but why do you think other Republicans have struggled to do so?
I can't comprehend it, but Caitlin, I'd like to point something out. Just last week, and I think the dam is breaking. I'm one of the people that's willing to admit the truth and say I don't see Republicans winning the midterms right now.
Do y'all think the dam is breaking?
Oh, yeah. Historically, she's absolutely correct. If you go back to the Civil War, the president's party has lost the House, I think 38 out of 41 times. Mm-hmm. And the president's party loses seats in the Senate about 70% of the time. So I don't think there's any question in my mind, at least, that at least the Republican slim majority, they only have 6 seats, a majority in the House, and actually 6 seats in the Senate. So I think there's no question either they lose the majority or it's going to be so slim that they're not going to really be able to function. The president's what is it? His agenda is not going to be able to function.
Yeah, I think, the House is a foregone
Mhm.
conclusion, and the chair of the RNC actually essentially admitted to this when he said, quote, Republicans are facing almost certain defeat in the upcoming midterms. He tried to walk it back, but that's kind of hard to walk back from. I think the House is a foregone conclusion. The Senate's harder, but what that means is heading into election year, you should be asking, how am I delivering for my constituents? Not what party am I running on, what letters next to my name, what jersey. And today, this morning, there's breaking news that a number of Republicans partnered with Democrats that they want to extend these Obamacare subsidies because 20 million people are going to have their premium skyrocket. I'm not the biggest Obamacare fan, but I'm a big fan of people being able to have health insurance and being able to pay their medical bills. So
hold on, before we get to the rest of that, I was like, I gotta pause that because number one, I hate the fact that she says, oh, I'm not the biggest fan of Obamacare, but I want people to be able to pay their bills, whatever. Okay, that's cute or whatever. But what's the alternative? So y'all always, people like her on that side, always talk about they not a fan of this, that, and the other. Y'all need to specify what it is about Obamacare that y'all don't like, or is the Affordable Care Act, because it is literally the same thing. What is it about it you don't like, and what is the alternative? So it's y'all talk about y'all don't like stuff, but y'all never have an alternative to the solution. That's all. Now we get back to the rest of the video.
If this is a stopgap thing that you do so that people can save themselves, they need to. And Mike Johnson told them to pound sand. So yeah, you're going to lose seats.
Well, and you've made the point before, by extending those, they're buying the time they'd need to come up with their better version if they have one, which it doesn't seem that way. But I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene has given so many people an off-ramp for a while. We always talked about how they were all vying for power, but as we head into midterms, they're going to most definitely lose. The president becomes a lame duck. I don't know why a lot of them aren't standing up when the decision is so easy. Like this Rob Reiner comment was something that everyone should have stood up defiantly and said that's
a lot
disgusting.
Of them did. A lot of them did.
Yeah, but not as many as should have.
I mean, would you have guessed this time last year that Marjorie Taylor Greene was the canary in the coal mine? I mean, would you have
Only
ever
if
you believe in guessed that? miracles?
Yeah, and it's
If you
crazy.
believe
I do believe in miracles.
I know you do. That's why I say that.
Whew,
Because that is to me, that's a miracle.
It's
Yeah.
When somebody
shocking.
who goes from this all the way over here has an epiphany and says, they stopped me from doing what I wanted to do, but moreover, they're stopping my constituents, and I don't like it.
Yeah, but you give her too much credit, maybe. I mean, she's ambitious. Let's not forget that Santa is bringing the Epstein files this week.
Yeah.
And they're getting, and everybody's weakened in the Republican Party right now. They're not going to win. She knows it. She wants to run for something else.
Yeah,
But
but,
she was
but
I mean, I'm happy
instrumental
to
in
have her
Epstein.
on our side now, but
I don't know if she's on our side. I'm just saying, listen, I don't have to agree with everything you say. I don't have to agree with everything you say, but I need you to be conscientious enough to know when your people, the people who voted you in, are saying to you, we're suffering, and you're seeing me as part of your family who is also suffering.
Yeah.
And I know she made some dough, but something woke her ass up. Something woke her.
Okay, I'm gonna just pause it there because I'm like, okay, I'm glad y'all believe in miracles and lollipops and rainbows, but it's like, I agree with Joy. Y'all giving her way too much credit. She sees, I think what it is, she read the tea leaves. She sees the tides is turning. The fact, especially with Zohran Mamdani sweeping up in, New York, a progressive Democratic socialist, I should say, making big waves and stuff. In New York, we're about to get some major changes. We'll see how he actually governs once he's sworn in, and if things will change for the better for New Yorkers especially, and how it will start this tsunami of other politicians, progressive politicians, who want to follow in that footsteps and not want to be cut to corporate interests and APAC money and all that other stuff. So it'd be great to see that. I still don't trust Marjorie Taylor Greene as far as I can throw her. She's a bigot. She's a racist. She's a white supremacist. I don't particularly care for her. So the fact that y'all sitting here trying to normalize her and normalize some of the stuff she's saying, I call cap on that. And that's what irritates me about The View, is that y'all try to normalize and y'all just be thinking, oh, we can at least get somebody on our side from the opposing team. It's like, no, why are we all of a sudden trying to give? That's what I feel like the centrist Democrats lost the election. Y'all started cucking yourselves to Liz Cheney and all these other people. That's what it's dealing with. And then wasn't there something where Marjorie Taylor Greene was trying to bring the denouncement? I can't remember exactly what it was. Something to do with trans children to the floor or something another, where I guess they can't get, I can't remember what it was. I need to look it up. But it was something to do with trans children, because I saw that in passing. So I didn't take the time to actually read the article, and I was wondering, okay, is this like, is she trying to denounce trans children? Or because that sounds like some negative stuff she does. The thing she said about Jasmine Crockett, and where Jasmine Crockett ran her bleach blonde behind down to the floor. But I do agree that by the midterms, the Democrats are going to soar and the Republicans are going to lose a lot of positions and stuff. They already are. You already turned certain red states blue. Especially, didn't they just get themselves their first Democratic mayor in Miami after like 30 years? And then I came across this post because I was looking for it while the video was playing. And it said, after the last tariffs in 1930, Republicans lost the House and Senate for 50 years. So who knows? That might actually, here's to the next 50 years of Republicans with 3 Ks losing the House and Senate again. So if this is the game y'all gonna be playing and y'all not here for and didn't we just hear Dan Bongino just announce that he's stepping down? So a lot of the people, the Titanic is hit the iceberg. A lot of them are considering quitting or jumping ship before the ish really hits the fan. And so I know y'all were trying to make it, the media, the press, everybody, whenever someone was trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, Joy and Whoopi are fighting. But I do agree, like y'all, and that's kind of been my issue ever since, because y'all remember the moment when I first heard they were bringing Marjorie Taylor Greene on The View, I roll my damn eyes. That's like y'all having freaking Apex Shakur with them fucked up teeth heads on y'all show, where they be up in there shilling and telling that BS, and y'all be trying to normalize a lot of these cretins, and y'all trying to normalize her on mainstream television, because if y'all not following the stuff that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been saying and doing out here for a while, and a lot of the negativity that she has contributed to by being a shill for Trump, no, you don't get no sympathy and empathy points. But that's what these Karens do. They so quick to want to do that. So I did find it funny when Joy said that Santa's going to be bringing the Epstein files. And y'all already know, I don't know if y'all know, but shout out to Kyle Kalinske, because the other day he did do a whole segment on a lot more photos have leaked. And so you saw a lot of pictures of stuff from Epstein Island, and a lot of people who was there, Noam Chomsky, and a bunch of people they were showing that was there. So yeah, Democrats and Republicans, or people who would seem more liberal, there were a lot of those people on Epstein Island as well. And for y'all to be so quick, you red hat wearing MFers, you inbreeders who want to jump in and say, well, if Clinton, what about Clinton? So if Clinton was in them damn files, if he went to the damn island, then his feet need to be held to the fire. See, the difference between us is I don't bend myself like a motherfucking pretzel when I want somebody to come to the carpet if they done did something to children. Anybody, regardless of your political affiliation or how powerful you are in the industry, you need to be held accountable for what you do. I don't make excuses for certain people because I feel like it's going to help me in some sort of way. Because what I don't understand is how y'all think being so in that Donald Trump cult helps you out in the long run. You're the one whose health care is going down the tubes, and you winding up with sky-high premiums. You're the one who's worrying about, having to dig deeper into your account to pay for food because food prices have gone up. So how is that helping you? By you still keeping your head attached, or your mouth attached to Trump's ass like something out of the human centipede. How does that help you? I'm waiting for the answer, which a lot of y'all don't have. So I'm just asking you a question. Of course, that nobody's ready to answer. So at the end of the day, with all of this, I 110% agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's cute or whatever that she's putting on this performance, that she's turned over a new leaf, because she probably is trying to run for higher office. It's all a grift with a lot of these people, especially when you start to learn this, the more that you dive deeper into and pay further attention to politics. It's all a grift. And she's one of the main grifters. So yeah, I don't trust this broad as far as I could throw it. So I agree with Joy on this. I don't agree with Joy with a lot of things because she be getting on my nerves, especially with all that Zionist bullshit that her and the rest of them be saying on that damn show. But for the most part, I went on this one. Sleep with one eye open when it comes to MTG. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding this segment of The View, where they were sitting up there talking about how they when it was about Marjorie Taylor Greene condemning Donald Trump over what he said about Rob Reiner, which I totally agree. I'm glad a lot of people on both sides. James Woods, who I like his films of the past, don't like his political affiliations, but he went on Fox News and called out Trump. I heard a lot of people from Fox News was calling, they turned on Trump over some of that craziness that he said. And I guess as a distraction from all of that, he decided to do some stupid town hall yesterday talking about a bunch of damn nothing. But that's usual when y'all have the old man with the cane shaking his cane in the air and punching the air and just spewing a bunch of, like, what are you talking about? Like, somebody get this man, change this man diaper and put him to bed. Like, basically drug him with like the whole bottle of NyQuil so he could shut the fuck up. So I say all of this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. So hold on, let me turn this heat off because it's starting to get hot in here. Okay, so you said it's like I don't like this, but I don't know. I don't know why. Okay, miracles are real, but MTG is not a miracle. Okay, and it's like for Whoopi to sell her little blind behind there, talking like, oh well, I like anybody that come off and say something. I said, so I can just tell you anything and you just believe it. Like, are you dumb? You can't be that fucking gullible, lady. But that just goes to show that people like Whoopi and a lot of them on that show don't really follow, except I think Joy tends to follow a lot of what Marjorie Taylor Greene has said more so than the rest of the ladies on the show. I think I think Whoopi just, gets whatever they tell her that's on them cue cards because she's an actress and just goes by what's on the cue card. She ain't really out here doing the extensive research like the bookworm, Sunny Hostin, or like Joy Behar, who definitely, remember at one point she had her own show on, I forget, what was it, MSNBC shit? At one point, Joy had her own show. And I used to watch it. I don't like Whoopi's viewpoint, but this time she's wrong. Marjorie changed like overnight. Republicans are failing, and Marjorie is putting on show to seem a less conservative Republican. Exactly. And then I remember I watched a recent interview with her. I think it was on CBS. The interviewer called out Marjorie Taylor Greene on some of the stuff she said. And while she sat there trying to pretend like she turned on a new leaf, you started to see that old MTG come out. I was like, y'all can never, like, a leopard never changes his spots. Leopard never changes his spots. So that part of, then she goes, well, you've been kind of nasty. And to me, it's like you go in that whole tit for tat mess. And it's like, ma'am, you can't sit up here and try to act like you turn over a whole new leaf and then, I'm calling you out on your shit. Like, remember, you contributed to a lot of this stuff, and now you've been kind of no, bitch. But you're not going to drag me up into this because I'm doing my job as a reporter, which is we got to call out all the things. I'm not going to sit up in here and kiss your behind and give you a softball interview like that failed wannabe The View co-host Barry Weiss did with Erica Kirk during that town hall. Gave her a tight-ass softball interview, and that whole thing was a mess. Yeah, Apex Shakur, a.k.a. Hakeem Jeffries. I saw somebody else was trying to call, what's his name? Byron something or another. They were trying to call him Apex. I said, no, we're not just going to just rotate this to different black people. Like, we got to have one person is Apex Shakur. Apex Shakur is Hakeem Jeffries. Y'all got to come up with different names for different people. You can't be giving that to every black person that do coonish behavior. Which I didn't even know you couldn't even say that word because apparently, according to Sabby Sabs, she had to change it to spoon. She said it rhymes with that other word. I was like, what? We can't say the COON word? We can't say that now on the E2? Y'all getting on my nerves. Well, I got to sit there and try to figure out what I can and cannot say on this damn channel. Exactly. Well, as you said, MTG is trying to rebrand, but it's not. I'm not buying it. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time is what I always believe. Shout out to Maya Angelou. May she rest in peace. I always believe that. MTG's seat is exactly, and that's what it is that seat is up, and this is a grift to either keep it or she want to go for a higher position. Don't buy it. Georgia people, don't believe it. Don't buy into this foolishness. Daniel Barris is in the room. So happy Thursday. How you doing? Well, look, I hope a Democratic candidate takes it as well, but I need these Democrats to be out here fighting. Don't sit up in here and listen to James Carville and play some damn possum, because that's what we want everybody to, they play possum. Let them just continue to destroy the country and all this other stuff until it gets so bad to the point that everybody votes for the other side. And that's cute or whatever. Like, we know that you'll gain momentum in that way, but you also want to show Democrats that there's some fight in you, to give people a reason to want to get up off their ass and vote for you, which is what Zoran did in New York. It's like, regardless of the fact of like, yeah, we playing possum, they doing so bad out here, he actually got out there, laid out what policies he wanted to do, how he wanted to bring a different change to New Yorkers, and people voted for it. Because it was either him, that COON Eric Adams, and that other shill for Israel, that idiot, Cuomo, which we didn't want that offender, the S offender, or, well, he has offended people with his behavior, is what I'm calling him, and not that he's registered. Cuomo, we don't want him, we didn't want him, his corrupt behind back and all that. So it was Zoran versus two corrupt politicians. I'm just hoping Zoran do what he needs to be doing once he gets in office, but we know we got to give him time because he's new. He's going to be new at this. But anyway, I'm over Marjorie Taylor Greene for now until she says and does something else dumb, and then we got to talk about it. But anyway, let's move on. Speaking of assault, let's talk about Corey Feldman. So apparently Corey Feldman, child star of the 80s, has a new documentary coming out, and in it he reveals that apparently he and Corey Haim had sexual relations, including, he said that Corey Haim did the M word to him. And it's funny, you look at Corey Haim looked like he was much smaller. I wonder who was older. But anyway, let's just get into the story. In Marcy Hume's new documentary, Corey Feldman versus the World, the child star alleges that Corey Haim M-worded him while making the 1987 film The Lost Boys, which is actually one of my all-time favorite movies. I know I love that movie. And it's also, if you watch the movie, there's a lot of homosexual undertones in that film. And it might be because Joel Schumacher directed it, but it was a groundbreaking film. It was like cool vampires, very MTV inspired based on the way they filmed it. The fashions were fashioning. I mean, it looks a little crazy now, but look, back in the 80s, it was all about the fashions, the shoulder pads, the long coats, the big hair, all of that. So bigger was always better. So speaking in his recently released documentary, Feldman said, when we did The Lost Boys, Corey said to me, hey man, let's mess around. Feldman recalls asking his fellow 80s heartthrob, what do you mean? Haim allegedly replied that it was what guys in the business do. You know, you suck each other's D word or you F around. You do this stuff, Feldman recalled Haim allegedly saying, as first reported by Us Weekly. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, Charlie Sheen told me it was okay. And here we go yet again with the story of Corey Haim saying that Charlie Sheen did some stuff to Corey Haim. Because remember, that was the story that came out back in the day, that Charlie Sheen had sexual relations with, hold on, because I was like, let me pull this picture up. But yeah, Charlie Sheen was the one that did some sexual relations with him on the set of Lucas. Corey Haim was allegedly molested or M-worded. Sorry, can't even say that damn word on the show. I keep forgetting. Was allegedly M-worded by Charlie Sheen, which Charlie Sheen denied in his Netflix documentary. And even Corey Haim, if I'm not mistaken, Corey Haim's mother has even debunked the rumor regarding her son having relations with Charlie Sheen, which I will say this. Corey Haim, unfortunately, is not here to defend himself. So we don't know if any of this is true regarding if he told Corey Feldman this, but Charlie Sheen is alive. He has denied the rumors. Corey Haim's mother is alive. She has denied that has happened. But the one who isn't here, who died because he was caught up in some drugs, probably because he was dealing with a lot, him, of course, being SA'd in the industry. When you look at someone like Corey Haim, and it's no shade, Corey Haim gives homosexualities. He gives me that there were some deep-rooted, he might have been gay. Who knows? I don't know if he had girlfriends. but he kind of gives that vibe. And a lot of times, predators can smell that on a young boy like sharks smell blood in water. And so when you're dealing with these situations where a child is trying to make it as an actor or whatever the case is, if parents aren't watching their children, we learned this from that Nickelodeon documentary when we talked about Drake Bell and the fact that if you don't have parents in place that protect your kids from these predators, things can happen. And apparently that was the story of Corey Haim learning this behavior from these older men and passing it down as, I guess, his way of connecting with his male co-star, hence Corey Feldman. And it makes me wonder if he did it with other boys. So Feldman, so they said the Dance with the Stars alum added Truth Be Told. Now, Haim was 14 when The Lost Boys were released in 87. Okay, so Feldman was older. He was 16 and Haim was 14. And I was like, well, how do you let this little boy overpower you? But then again, it don't matter the age of somebody where, okay, if y'all were doing certain things, if he's the older one or whatever the case is, then you can't necessarily control the narrative of the situation. So a rep for Haim's estate did not immediately return page 6's request for comment. Now, Feldman once accused 2.5 Men alum Sheen, who's now 60, of S.A.ing his longtime friend who died of pneumonia 38 in 2010 during the filming of the 1986 drama Lucas. Now, Sheen has strenuously denied the allegations, calling them sick, twisted, and outlandish in a 2020 statement to page 6. And most recently in his documentary, and it's the one on YouTube, or docu-series, I should say. Now, in 2020 documentary, My Truth, the the R word of two Coreys. I didn't know they was going to put that word in there. Feldman detailed alleged abuses from his life as a young actor in Hollywood. He also alleged that he and Haim were victims of SA as child stars. Now, in 2017, Haim's mother, Judy Haim, seemingly contradicted the allegations. She's saying, my son never mentioned Charlie. We never talked about Charlie. It was all made up, she told Entertainment Tonight at the time. If my son was here to hear all of this, he would throw up. Feldman disagreed, saying that allegations weren't like a one-time thing he said in passing. He said it wasn't like, oh, by the way, this happened. He went into great detail and emotional, Feldman said during My Truth, the R word of two Coreys. He added that Haim told him that Charlie bent me over in between two trailers and put Crisco oil on my butt and R-worded me in broad daylight. Anybody could have walked by. Anybody could have seen it. Feldman told EW in 2020 that he felt he started a movement by speaking out about the alleged incidents. That's what made me proud, he told the outlet. That's what made me feel like I've actually accomplished something in my life. So, yeah, that was the tea regarding that. I will say this. I am quite fascinated with this documentary and wanting to hear what they have to say. I'm actually curious to find out where they're airing it, because this whole article, it don't even tell you, is it on a streaming service? Is it showing at the film festivals? Is it showing in a theater? Because to be honest, I don't think anybody's going to go to movies and see something like this. This has got to be released on a streaming service. Is it on Netflix? Is it on Hulu? Is it on Paramount Plus? Is it on Apple TV? Is it on anyone? Is it on YouTube? Is it where is it showing? Is it on Disney? I mean, I don't think Disney would show something that's heavy, but then Disney and Hulu is kind of hand in hand, so might go to Hulu more than there. But I'm definitely curious to hear about this. I honestly am going to go on a record and say, do I believe Corey Feldman? I actually do believe him. He's the only one that's actually come out and said that Michael Jackson never did anything to him. Now, out of all the people that's abused in the world, and everybody comes out and says all the things about Michael Jackson, he has stood 10 toes down and said Michael Jackson never did anything sexual to him. So with him saying that, but him spilling tea about his relationship with Corey, do I believe that there might have been a little something that's going on? I mean, they were both cute kids. I could definitely see, like, in the 80s that a lot of these boys were doing all kind of fraternizing and fooling around and all this other stuff. And there was a lot of crazy abusive type stuff that was going on those days that people didn't talk about, that now people feel comfortable enough to come forward with and speak on. So I'm definitely, wherever this is playing, I'll have to look it up. But I'm definitely curious to check this out and to dive deeper into the story based off of other, that and whatever else he's spilling in the thing. Now, as far as the Charlie Sheen stuff, like I said, it's people's word against this, one person's word against another. And Corey Haim is not here to defend himself. So we just gonna have to just leave it up to speculation at this point. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Corey Feldman spilling tea about Corey Haim and said that he M-worded him while they made The Lost Boys? I mean, it was, child, that whole damn movie was one, I mean, besides Jamie Gertz being in it, it was one big sausage fest. So I wouldn't put nothing past the fact that things was going on that set, because it was pretty homoerotic and there was a lot of gay undertones in that movie, which is probably why it's like one of my favorite vampire movies to come out of the 80s. But anyway, so I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Hold on. Okay. You said, but was it fashion? I can't stand when adults mischaracterize typical youthful experimentation as being M-word. That's another thing too, because back in the day, and even now, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go with you on this one. I'm gonna say I was M-worded, yeah, because even after I did the segment, still gotta watch the words. How you gonna sit there and say that that's what happened? It's like, yeah, when you boys or whatever, boys fool around. I mean, even though I am a homosexual, I fooled around with a lot of boys, and I'm sure a lot of boys that I fooled around with, either they've come out or it was just a thing that was they experimented with as a kid and never did it again. That's how sometimes you know if that's what you into, or if you just might be fluid, or whatever the case is. But I do agree with that. Like, just because, I mean, I was gonna say, if you was a participant and if you did it more than once, then it wasn't really molesting, especially with him being shorter and younger than you. Is it like, do we say that, okay, you was enjoying it, or you was allowing it, and you could have pushed away and not allowed it? Because if it's a grown man doing it to a kid, I could totally understand. But it was somebody 2 years younger than you that you was doing it with. So I don't even know if we could call it the M word. The best vampire shows and movies are often homoerotic. Not exactly. Well, no, I agree with you. Why were best friends? I mean, they were best friends. Why is he saying that? I always thought Corey might have been. Yeah. Well, you talking about Haim or both? I used to watch that show, The Two Coreys, and that was another. You maintain your friendship with him, and I remember, because I did see when I was scrolling up what everything was like. Why now? You've had many a times to even bring this up about you and Corey Haim. You've never mentioned, as far as I know, in the past, that you and Corey Haim fooled around. All I remember from you two was that you were talking about how y'all bonded over the fact that y'all both were abused in the industry by powerful people. So we knew that, and y'all had that in common, and then of course the success of the Coreys being like as big as they were in the 80s. I remember those stories, but you sit up here saying all this now about him, and he's not here to defend himself. Kind of got me side-eyeing you a little bit. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were born in the same years. Well, yeah, they said that they're 2 years apart. That Corey Feldman was 16, and when they did The Lost Boys, and Corey Haim was 14. Well, honestly, when kids are M-worded, they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, and it could have been that too. That maybe he found it. On the other hand, he probably just found the courage to talk about it. Or sometimes people black things out until maybe they've gone to a hypnotist or something traumatic happens, and all of a sudden that old memory comes back. I tried to find Corey's other documentary, but never been able to. Oh, they probably it's probably like out of print, or you can't find it on any of the streaming services. This is suspect because of it coming out now, because Corey Feldman has been accused Charlie Sheen, but why is he just now accusing Corey Haim? Exactly. Oh, who didn't? Jason Patrick, fine self in that movie. Also, he kind of, and funny enough, how they always referenced Jim Morrison from The Doors because he kind of favored him. Also, Corey Haim, I always thought he was the cuter of the yeah, Corey Haim was the cute one. That's why I think a lot of times when you look at him, he was sort of the one that, yeah, seeing him and how he looked and everything, oh, he'd definitely be the perfect thing for PDF files to want to hook up with and do things with. And that's clearly something he learned from being abused. So when, like I said, when you see a lot of these PDF files types, a lot of these powerful people in the industry, they smell it on these young boys like a shark smelling blood in the water. All right, y'all. So now let's move on with the rest of the show. And let's get into some Housewives news. So it looks like NeNe, aka Lanithia Monique Leaks, might be coming back on our TV screens sooner rather than later. Because remember how she said that door was closed? Well, it looked like the door is now about to be open. And y'all already know from seeing her doing the NBC red carpet events and all that other stuff. There's always been rumors floating around about NeNe possibly coming back to the Housewives of Atlanta and all that other stuff. Well, according to the reports, it ain't necessarily the Housewives of Atlanta she's coming back to, but she is coming back to, if you believe the story that's going around, a Housewives franchise. So, according to Reality Blurb, former Real Housewives of Atlanta star NeNe Leakes may be returning to Bravo, not for the show that made her a star. Instead, she could be one of the cast members on the Real Housewives Ultimate Road Trip. Now, Andy Cohen first announced the Real Housewives Ultimate Road Trip during the Ask Andy segment at BravoCon in 2025. BravoCon 2025. That was back in November, I believe, when they did it. The show will celebrate 20 years of the Housewives by featuring beloved cast members traveling to memorable locations from the franchise. It's set to premiere in 2026. Now, Page Six is reporting that NeNe is in talks to appear on the upcoming series. The news arrives after Andy confirmed at Bravo 2025 that he and NeNe had been in touch in recent months. Additionally, the former RHOA star has seemingly returned to NBC Universal's good graces as she has hosted 4E. So far, neither NeNe nor her reps have responded to the report from Page Six regarding the Real Housewives Ultimate Road Trip. Some of the other cast members have already been confirmed. Specifically, Orange County star Vicki Gunvalson said she will be featured. Now, while on the December 16th episode of the Vile Files podcast, she said, I'm going to do the girls' trip like 4 days before that. So I'm going on the girls' trip January 18th through the end of January. The part of the interview came after the host asked when Real Housewives of Orange County season 20 will begin, and she said it would be mid-February. Now, naturally, there are tons of rumors regarding who else will sign on for the show. Hold on, before we get to that, I did hear some tea going around that Jacqueline Larita, remember when she used to be over on New Jersey, she might be heading over to Orange County. But the reason why that she's a little hesitant on it is because of the money. It's like they got to get the whole money thing situated before she agrees to sign on to Orange County. But if she want to go back, if she want to go over there because she's in California, I mean, who knows? That might be a good fit. But would she even want to come back to reality TV at this point? And would people even care enough to want to see? No shade, but would people want to care? Would y'all care enough to want to see Jacqueline Larita back on y'all screens? Maybe she should come back to Jersey and see how that all works out. But y'all already got rid of the whole Manzo family. Is like y'all made it more about Teresa and them. And we're gonna get into the New Jersey casting news after this one. But let's focus on this. So yeah. So there's been a lot of rumors regarding of who may else sign on. So in addition to Vicki Gunvalson, there have been names popping around, especially on not Mary Cosby fan page. So on Mary Cosby fan page, hold on, because I was like, should I pull it up? They said, well, Mary Cosby fan page, she says, so according to my sources, this is what's shaping up to be the cast of the Ultimate Girls Trip. According to my sources, Vicki, Kyle, Giselle, and Teresa are the only 4 who have been confirmed and signed. As previously reported by me, NeNe Kimsey and Karen Huger were asked. Mary Cosby, Meredith Marks, and Luann de Lesseps have been asked, shaping up to be a 10-person cast and an epic trip. So I'm wondering if it's going to be in a RV or something. They're going to be traveling to these places. And then they said the series is was described to me as the women will host parties in their respective cities and invite former and present cast members or others to said party. As stated before by me, okay, girl, like you so excited that you got a scoop. allegedly. It said, as stated before by me, filming is slated for late January and expected to film over the course of 2 weeks. So, yeah, that's the latest tea on that. That should be relatively interesting, I guess, in my opinion, if people even care enough to want to see a, all these women on the the ultimate road trip. I mean, look, I just hope that it's not going to be a mess like Ultimate Girls Trip. Because remember what happened with Ultimate Girls Trip? Ultimate Girls Trip was the thing that was supposed to happen until that whole incident happened with Brandy Glanville and Caroline Manzo. They said it was a whole SA situation that went down and there was lawsuits that came about and it was a mess. So hopefully y'all dot your I's and you cross your T's and you have everything working out the way you need it to work out. Now, as far as like NeNe coming back, in a way, I think maybe the ultimate road trip idea would work for her rather than y'all having to do a whole ultimate, not even ultimate girl, like her coming back to regular Housewives. Because to be honest, I honestly feel like Housewives of Atlanta is cooked. I don't care about any of these broads on this show. We already know that Portia is gonna make this whole bulldagger storyline her thing. Now all of a sudden she in the eating clams and stuff and messing with aggressive lesbians. So okay, that's cute or whatever, but it feels like a storyline to me. But then again, this is the same one that was making comments about her and Candy in a sexual situation and made it seem like that Candy was pushing up on her. But if this was a thing that you had that was bubbling deep inside, deep down inside, like if that was something you was feeling that whole situation, then I'm glad that you finally having your Niecy Nash moment and you coming to the terms that you like eating the box. But to me, everything with Portia, or sometimes I like to call her Horsha, it feels a little contrived. It feels like it's put on. It feels like a stunt. And we already know, like, when it comes to y'all over there at the Housewives, y'all be giving stunts and shows because y'all still want to maintain y'all peach and y'all still want to maintain that little coin that y'all getting over there from the Bravo people. So they also said other reports say that while the main cast will consist of only OGs, the show will feature other long-running cast members in various capacities. One name that has been mentioned who may join the show in a more limited role is Monique Samuels. Reports indicate she may join the rest of the ladies for a party. Now, MCFP said on X, Real Housewives Ultimate Girl, a road trip scoop regarding what the Neighborhood Talk said about Monique joining the show. It's not in the way that people think. According to my source, the main cast consists solely of OGs. Monique is in the process of signing regarding another aspect of the show. And I guess because it's like 2 decades since the Housewives, they want to probably focus on the women that have basically shaped Bravo into what it is today versus a lot of these newbies that just want to come on and have a moment. So they also went on to say, my source said that some other vets / OGs will be flying to an iconic landmark in the Housewives universe for a party with the OG main cast, which is what I heard Monique is signing for. Hashtag RHUGT, hashtag RHIP. So it'll be interesting to see how this all works out, but I definitely want to hear from y'all. Who would you all like to see on this show? Would you like to see NeNe on the show? Would you like to see Wig on the show, aka Kim Zolciak? Would you like to see Teresa or Kyle Richards or the one that just got out of jail? Who's it for drinking over there in Potomac? Would you like to see the Vanessa Williams of the Housewives, Giselle? Would you like to see Eyes, Crazy Eyes? And I'm not talking about Ramona, I'm talking about Vicky Gumbelson. Would you like to see the Countess? Would you like to see all these other women that are gonna, marry Cosby and all these other ones, and Karen Hugo? I don't know why I couldn't think of her name, but would you like to see all these other broads on the show? So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Who would y'all like to see on the show? And if this is the way you would like to see NeNe come back, I feel like this would be a cute way for NeNe to come back without her actually having to commit over there to that old show, that she can come in and out and do different things in other ways. That show, as well as I would like to see her on the next season of The Traitors, which then that would be season 4, because I already heard season 3, they dropped that trailer. Season 3 look like it's going to be a mess. I'm really hoping and praying y'all get rid of Michael Rappaport first. I can't stand that old heifer, but it's like he bringing the mess on that show. So just for ratings' sake, they might keep his ass around a little longer than we need. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Black Love says, I'm confused. I thought the two Coreys were friends when they had the reality show together. That exactly. So it was like, y'all seemed like everything was copacetic. There was nothing crazy going on between y'all. Now all of a sudden you want to bring up the fact that, oh, he touched you inappropriately. I think like it was stated before, there was some experimentation. He said, oh, you want to fool around? This is what people do. And Corey Feldman, it's like, all right, y'all started giving each other sloppy toppy and doing all kinds of things, and you enjoyed it. Y'all were teenagers, horny, hormones was raging. A child doing something to another child, would that be considered molestation? I mean, I guess we didn't have a name for it back in the 80s, in the 90s. I feel like because we're in the Me Too Time's Up era now, people are coming up with all these different wordings and things and want to call it something that some people are like, that's not what it was. But he was there. I don't want to discount people's experiences, but we still got to have the conversation. Black also says, I think Bravo is trying to get people to watch, and I think the whole Housewives, yeah. I've been saying that for the longest. Like, I don't feel that the Housewives, I feel like it's run its course. I don't care about the franchise like I used to. It used to be must-see TV. I don't care. Only show I care about is Beverly Hills. And then depending on what they do with New Jersey, which I'm about to get into that casting news in a second, I don't care about the other franchises. Atlanta is dry as hell. Them peaches need a little sugar thrown on it because it's boring and it don't taste right. I don't care about Atlanta no more. New York is dry. And I guess I'll equate New York when I talk about Jersey also. And funny enough, they already dropped the first 2 episodes of Housewives of Beverly Hills. I haven't even watched that yet. So I'm like, damn it, does that mean like I'm kind of waning myself off the whole franchise overall and I don't care enough to even rush over there to watch the new season of the Housewives of Beverly Hills? I gotta find the time to get around to it. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the franchise has gone as far as it's gone, and Andy is trying to find a way to keep people interested. But it's just like the way that we receive reality show, we don't care. Who cares? And it's sad because it's kind of like, pop the balloon. Now they got the gay version. That shit is trash. And shout out to all the people that's been coming out doing their own discourse on, especially like King of Reeds and so many others, because those shows are a damn embarrassment. And the fact that you punks be getting up on there doing this show and how y'all just be doing it for a moment rather than talk about how you really looking for love when I don't think you are. And they got the nerve to be up there talking about they want somebody masculine presented. Mind you, y'all got a full face beat of makeup and more grease on your lips than I got in a frying pan where I could fry my damn chicken. And y'all want to sit up here and talk about you want a masculine man. You wouldn't know a masculine man if he took his dick out and slapped you upside the face with it. So it was like, and this will get me to watch. Well, look, she's not doing Housewives of Atlanta. It's just allegedly, according to the report, ultimate road trip. All right, so now speaking of Housewives of New Jersey, let's talk about them people over there in the tri-state. So word on the curb is it looked like Teresa and Melissa Gorga, Teresa Giudice to be specific, or Teresa Ruelas. I don't know if that's what she's going by, but apparently that's her stage name is Giudice, and Melissa Gorga are coming back to the Housewives of New Jersey. So for the upcoming season, after they took the time to let them take a break, and it's funny how convenient all of this is, especially when they decided, oh, we're friends again. We're gonna put on a united front because y'all missed that money. So I'm side-eyeing y'all with all of this, like I was side-eyeing Marjorie Taylor Greene turning over a new leaf. So y'all gonna be in the same. I'm putting y'all in the same guest house. You, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Melissa Gorga. So now, according to a new report, the sisters-in-law are expected to reprise their roles on the show for their impending episodes, along with Black Dolores, aka Dolores Catania, 54, and Jennifer Fessler, who's 55. I like Jen Fessler, although she was kind of flip-flopping that last season. And they said that one of the regulars, longtime regulars, left out of the new cast. So who y'all thinking is not coming back? So they said for Real Housewives of New Jersey fans, it looks like we're all in for a familiar roller coaster. Yes, Melissa and Teresa are both set to return next season. Along them, we're hearing Dolores and Jen will be back. Plus, some fresh faces are coming in to stir the pot, revealed a December 8 report from Demois. Now, one notable absence. They said it looked like Margaret Josephs is getting the chop. She will not be coming back for the new season. Now on Instagram, RHONJ, or is RHONJ. I was like, how do you pronounce that? It's like we got Romy, we have all these different things that we come up with. But you can't even do a whole thing with Real Housewives of New Jersey. You just gotta say it. Obsessed. They said RHONJ Obsessed shared the supposed news with its followers, also mentioning that Dolores will be appearing as a friend of Liz McGraw's on Real Housewives of Rhode Island season 1. Oh, so she got to get a. So in the meantime, I guess. But so while y'all figure out what the hell y'all doing over there at Jersey, Black Dolores is trying to get her a little extra check over there in Rhode Island. Do people even care about Rhode Island? Like, y'all keep making all these spinoffs and stuff, and I don't know if they do any gangbusters, but I guess if you're a hardcore Housewives fan, I do know somebody that watches all of the shows and gets so involved that it's like, I just don't care enough about a bunch of whiny old ladies just bitching and moaning and drinking wine and complaining about some of those surface level crap. So after the post was shared on Instagram in regard to the alleged casting news for Real Housewives of New Jersey season 15, a number of fans weighed in, some of whom liked the women who were returning, and others who felt producers were potentially making a big mistake. Now, with Margaret being chopped, what about the other girls? What about some of the new girls that came on? Danielle and the other, what was it, Jen? Not Aiden, because Jen Aiden's gone. After how toxic she was in that last season, I know they're not bringing her back. Although I remember hearing a story that she came to City Field, and one of my coworkers said that she was in their section and he recognized them, her and her family or whatever, and she basically was nice, and she was like, she appreciated the fact that, you know, he said hi, whatever, but wasn't bothering her and all that other stuff. Because, you know, sometimes when you're a celebrity and stuff, regardless of your level of celebritydom, some people just want to go and be a part of some public stuff and have a good time and not be bombarded with autographs and pictures and things of that nature. Some people just want to go about their business. And then there's times when you got to be on and you got to do the whole work reality star thing. And, you know, you understand that too. But from what I heard from a coworker, they told me that she was nice. So who knows? Maybe it was all for the cameras. Or maybe he caught her on a good day. I don't know. But he had nothing but good things to say about Jen Aiden. So one person said Margaret leaving is the best news ever. Another person said, as long as Margaret is not here, I'm not there, I'm happy. A third wrote, I think getting rid of Margaret will help move the franchise forward. Well, look, with them saying that, I think Teresa will agree, because, you know, Teresa did not particularly care for Margaret on the show. And I will say this, Margaret was thoroughly entertaining. I like how she brought the drama and stuff, but it got a little toxic in the end, where her constantly badgering Teresa and Louis and that whole situation. And she had some valid points in some of the nitpickiness and calling Teresa out on some of the stuff, but it got a little annoying. It got a little toxic. And to be honest, I'm actually happy that on the surface and for our eyes, or whatever the case is, the Gorgas and Teresa have kind of presented a truce, a mea culpa of sorts, and they're putting on a united front. Kind of like Madonna and Guy Ritchie at Rocco's art exhibit. They put on a united front. Like, I don't like this motherfucker, but we're going to put on a united front for these people. We're not going to give y'all the satisfaction of thinking we out here still beefing. Because we grown over here. Then, as someone else said, they need a break from Teresa, and another fan said Melissa was not needed anymore. Others suggested Bravo being back as the original cast, or Jennifer Aiden, who's 48, who seemed to announce her exit from the show in October. As one said, I miss Jen Aiden. She's totally needed, as well as Teresa, Dolo, and Fessler. Another person exclaimed, I prefer Jennifer Aiden over Fessler any day. Well, yeah, because Jen Fessler is kind of like wishy-washy. I don't know if you can really trust her. And then another person mentioned Kathy Wakili. Kathy Wakili is not coming back to the show. Come on now. You know the Wakili is not coming back on this. So who knows when the show is going to, the 15th season of Housewives of New Jersey is going to come back. But here's the thing. It's on one hand, yes, it's time for them to change over and bring in new people, whatever the case is. But then again, we've done that and we saw what happened. Do we need to cross over the bridge from New Jersey and head over to New York and look at that franchise? Because y'all went and cleared out all the original girls over there and brought in some new people and y'all didn't care. So now that show is on hold. Whereas in the beginning, y'all should have brought on like problematic ass Ramona, Sonya drunk behind, and the Countess, and then brought in some new girls. Y'all should have mixed it up. I don't think you should have fully got rid of the original cast. You should have mixed it up with some new people from all walks of New York. New York is a broad situation. We have 5 boroughs. So I know it's hard to kind of represent all those different boroughs. But if we're talking about New York, you can have a girl that's from Brooklyn, a girl that maybe represents Queens, but lives in the city. Oh, y'all can move people out there. Y'all do all kinds of fakery to get these people to watch these shows where they say they live one place and they really don't. So y'all can fake it all for the cameras. Y'all do it anyway. It ain't entirely, reality TV ain't as real as y'all think. So I guess in the meantime, we don't know if this is all true. This is rumors, according to Page 6 and Reality Blurb is talking about it. But I don't know. For some reason, I definitely feel like this is real, especially the way that Teresa and Melissa has been acting lately. I truly believe that, yeah, they're bringing them back. But I do agree. Melissa brings nothing to the show. So, but this is what they're going to do. Okay. Well, we'll see I wonder who the new girls are going to be when the season is revived and it comes back. But I'd say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you excited to hear this news that Teresa and Melissa and Jen Fessler and Black Dolores is coming back and Margaret is gone, according to the report? So whatever your thoughts are, and who do y'all even think should be some new girls, if you know any, from Jersey that they could bring on the show that would be entertaining for us to watch? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so let me close that window. Yeah, I remember hearing that story. It says streaming music fans do know that you don't own it and it can get taken away within a minute. Absolutely, and which should make people want to go out and purchase the product. I heard Andy majorly fucked up with the Vanderpump Rules. Zach Peters said, what was this queen thinking? After 15 seasons, we wanted a new cast. Should have fired Tom Sandoval. He's why it became a scandal. Tom Sandoval didn't he do America's Got Talent? He's been out here trying to rehabilitate his image. He did America's Got Talent. He did The Traitors. He's been doing all these different situations. So I don't think that, I don't know. It was like ever since the whole Scandal situation, I wasn't really a big Vanderpump Rules fan anyway, so they could do whatever the hell they want with the show. I haven't watched the new season. I don't know what's going on, and I really don't understand this conversation. Talking about somebody crying. Do I look like I'm crying, you fucking retard? Like I told somebody else, your mama should have swallowed. Let me come into my comments with y'all bullshit ass bullshit. What's wrong with your crying ass? Like, shut up, you slow ass retard. Anyway, y'all be trying me in these comments. Just in here because y'all bored. Go beat your dick with a scrub bud. Anyway, let me get back into the show. Where am I going? Oh, this crap. Let's talk about Melania and that Ease of 3 and her documentary that nobody asked for. I heard the budget was $40 million. Who spends that much money on a documentary? And it was directed by problematic ass Brett Ratner. So, in a jaw-dropping surprise for horror fans, we have a first unwanted look at the trailer for Melania Trump's new documentary. Here we go again. A brand new trailer for the scariest movie ever made just dropped, and it's called Melania. Now, our first look at the new film about a foreign model, well, it should have been called Mail Order Whore, a love story, in my opinion. Turned first lady and the most boring and patient woman ever, probably. Features unsettling music, quick and dramatic shots of her Hamburglar hat, stilettos and sunglasses, and almost indistinguishable dialogue. Yeah, because we don't never understand what the hell Natasha talking about whenever she opened her damn mouth. But if y'all have not seen the trailer, we are going to take a look at it. So hold on a second. Let me pull it up. And then, I just want to apologize to Miss Piggy for this shady ass video, but let's play the video. Please hold.
Here we go again.
You can come in. Come on in. After our legacy will be that of peacemaker.
Peacemaker under the fire. Beautiful. Together with like-minded leaders, we have a voice. Is it safe?
It is safe.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is. Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
You know what? Y'all are so shady for that. That shit was funny though. Somebody said, damn, Miss Piggy. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't know who asked for this. Nobody I know asked for a goddamn Melania documentary. I don't even know what's the point of it. But, these people with their vanity projects I don't know, it's just a damn head scratcher. So they said, we can't believe Amazon MGM Studios paid $40 million for this film, sent a Michelle Pfeiffer Christmas movie straight to streaming, and is putting this shit in theaters. Well, look, this is probably all due to Donald Trump saying, if you want your little tax cuts, Jeff Bezos and them over there, all these other rich oligarchs, that I need you to put up the money for my wife's documentary. And so this ain't nothing to Jeff Bezos. That's like a $40 million thing for Amazon MGM putting it in theaters. It's $40 to him. So he's willing to take a loss because quiet as it's kept, who's going to see this movie? So yeah, they said everybody wants to know, so here it is. She says, almost flirtatiously. We don't know who asked, but definitely wasn't us. Now, what follows is a montage of the stone-faced 55-year-old strutting around the White House, boarding Air Force One, planning the inauguration, pretending to add value to conversations with world dignitaries, and some jump scares of her convicted felon husband, aka our dumb ass in chief. Now, in one particular scene, she phones him from the golden bedroom, worth more than we'll make in our entire lives, and says, "Hi, Mr. President, congratulations." And when he replies, "Did you watch it? Did you watch it?" She responds with a vocal side eye, "I did not. I will see it in the news." That's what she said. So, so then the people, of course, to the social media, one showed that big dinosaur pile of shit from the first Jurassic Park, and said by the trailer, that is one big pile of shit. Another person went and said, this was an iconic one. Hold on, let me put this picture up because this pretty much sums it all up. This Jackie O, Tacky Ho pretty much sums it up. Then another person posts, then they have that. So, of course, as I mentioned, the movie is directed by Brett Ratner. So, if you thought Melania would have any sort of critical lens to provide even a single thought-provoking moment, you would be wrong. Notably, the documentary was produced by the First Lady and was directed by Rush Hour filmmaker Brett Ratner, whose career has gotten noticeably quieter after 6 women accused him of sexual harassment and misconduct in 2017. So, of course, now if you're paying attention, why all of a sudden there was this conversation that was brought about that Donald Trump wants a Rush Hour 4 and it's going to be produced by the Ellisons over there at Paramount Plus. Just see how all of this ties in together. So, obviously, homosexual Twitter immediately swooped in to roast the film, which hit theaters on January 30th, 2026. I gotta find out what other movies is coming out around that time. But girl, we already know it's gonna flop. Now, one user joked that they were seated for the cameo from Nicki MAGA Minaj. Or as we like to call her, Maga Minaj. Now, former Biden-Harris staff member Rhonda Elaine Fox pointed out how ass backwards it is that people literally cannot afford food, and the First Lady is cosplaying as a movie star. Now, others even compared the obviously staged hybrid between documentary and feature filmmaking to Charlie XCX's upcoming Brat-inspired mockumentary, The Moment. Well, this is probably what this is. This is probably some old This Is Spinal Tap type shit that's going on. And sidebar, before I forget, shout out to Charles Curran, Charlie B. Curran, who actually did that video of the Miss Piggy AI trailer from the Melania trailer. Because he said, I recut the Melania trailer shot for shot with AI to replace her with Miss Piggy. I don't know if this was a good idea, but I did it. Well, it was cute. That's why I played it. Now, that said, the best response came from filmmaker, as I said, Charles Curran, who recut the Melania trailer shot for shot. And we don't need to read onto that because I already did it. Now, another person said, nothing will be funnier than to see how badly that Melania movie bombs in theaters. And you know it will. Then another person said, this looks like it could be the funniest film of the year in a performance art sort of way. Another person said, I would genuinely rather watch my legs get put through a meat grinder. Then they went and showed, they said, like MAGA is going to watch a movie about a woman. And then they show Cynthia Erivo like gasping or whatever the case is. And then another person said Trump is going to put the CEO of AMC in jail after this theatrical release flops. Oh, yeah, they're going to, I don't know what's going to happen with Adam Aaron. Adam Aaron has been making a lot of shitty choices when it comes to the type of things that he's been doing regarding the movies and some of the decisions that he's been making business-wise when it comes to film. So who knows, if this actually puts him under, they wind up replacing him with somebody else, so be it, because I don't particularly care for Adam Aaron. But for the most part, this movie is going to flop. Nobody's going to watch this. The trailer looked boring. Miss Piggy, the AI version, looked way more entertaining than watching Vampira actually up there with her Draculian accent. And it's funny how these DEI hires, that was all up in the White House, this woman who literally married into what she has now, and we got a government that's out here just basically getting rid of immigrants, but he married one alongside the vice president, but y'all hate immigrants. Okay, make that make sense. Now, in regards to the trailer, my thoughts on it, I'm going to use an actual Melania quote. I don't care, do you? But with all that being said, I can't wait to report the box office on this at the end of January and see, numbers wise that, in my opinion, I feel like it'll do worse than Sydney Sweeney's Christie. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the Melania trailer? Have you seen the trailer? Do you care about seeing the movie? I don't think most people are going to see this movie. Look, if the Trump Republican bros didn't go support their big tittied version of their MAGA Barbie, and I'm not talking about Kristi Noem melting face looking ass. I'm talking about Sydney Sweeney. If they ain't support none of her stuff, and she decided to cuck herself to these, Trump bros, they're not going to go see this damn movie. How many people you really think are they going to be able to afford going to the movies and see this with everything going up in price? They could barely afford food. So you think they're going to be able to afford to see Melania in the White House on the big screen? They ain't going to go see that shit. So Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I don't know who she thinks will go see it. Okay. And you said, okay, that's why he mentioned Rush Hour 4. Exactly. That's why I said, like, it all makes sense. And I knew that from the beginning because I was like, when I heard, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, when I heard Brett, I said the reason why, because Brett Ratner directed Melania's documentary. So, of course, Trump is now trying to influence getting movies made. Not Drecatude. May he rest in peace. All right, y'all. So now we down to our final 4 topics. So before we get to those final 4, if you can please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Please and thank you. Wait, hold on, because I need to bring something up before we get into this next topic. Forgot to do it earlier. It's got to do with the tweets regarding Blake Mitchell, because I wanted to actually have all those ready before we get into that topic. Jesus, this is a long ass article, by the way. Okay, I got it. So now, without further ado, let's get into our next topic. And that's about Lane Rogers. So I gagged when I saw this story yesterday. So Lane Rogers, who a lot of y'all may know as Blake Mitchell, the news came out yesterday, and unfortunately he died in a motorcycle accident. So it was a terrible, horrible accident. So let's get into this story. So Lane Rogers was, as I said, unalived in a motorcycle accident in California this week. Shout out to Straight Up Gay Porn for this story. There was a bunch of other people, but I saw that Straight Up Gay Porn did it. They are devastated to report he was only 31 years old. Now, Lane had been visiting friends in LA and Ventura counties over the weekend, and he was riding the motorcycle near Pacific Coast Highway in Oxnard, where he collided with a box truck at 3:48 p.m. on Monday. Ventura County Fire arrived moments later, and he was pronounced unalive at 3:58 p.m. Lane's family had been notified, and an investigation into the crash ongoing. I also saw that TMZ reported on it, and they were literally saying something or another that they wanted to check his system to see if there was drugs involved. Now, why all of a sudden when it's somebody who makes adult cinematography, they had to be hiding Cooter Brown in order for them to die in a motorcycle accident? Things like this happens when people are riding motorcycles. Things happen. People can get a little reckless with the motorcycles, or sometimes they get the best of you. That's why I was gonna say that's why I'm not particularly big on motorcycles. But then again, it could happen with a car too. So. And I was like, wait a minute now. Now, why all of a sudden is TMZ covering a story about an adult performer? And I hate when people in the comments was like, who? Well, if you don't watch movies with boys sucking on each other's dicks, you wouldn't know who the hell Blake Mitchell is. So I hate when people jump in the comments about who. It's like, fucking use Google, regardless of who it is. Even if it was him or if it was anybody. Y'all really be thinking y'all eating in the comments when y'all write who? What are you, a fucking owl? Maybe you'll come back as one in your next life. You keep that shit up. But anyway, let me get off of that because I was going on a tangent for no reason. Well, no reason. But let me bring it back. Bring it back. So now, they basically said that the family was notified, blah, 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 blah. Lane had rented the motorcycle to use during his week-long stay in Cali, and he did have prior experience using the type of vehicle in Kentucky where he lived and is survived by numerous loved ones, a cat, 2 horses, and a dog. So I guess he was I wonder, was he still doing the adult stuff? Because I really hadn't followed Lane over the years. I remember at one point he did change his name. I do remember when he used to do like Cam 4 and Treasury, those other ones. That's where I first became aware of Blake Mitchell. And then he went legit once he started showing his tits. So yeah, then they showing him with all the different porn stars. Then they showing him with Bianca Del Rio. Shout out to Bianca. And so let's get into his backstory. So Lane Vincent Rogers was born on August 14, 1994 in Lexington, Kentucky. By his own account, his early years were rough. So I didn't graduate high school, he once said in an interview. I got expelled from 2 high schools my senior year. To make ends meet, Lane worked at various restaurants, including what he described as shitty pizza place and a diner he had to walk 6 miles to reach. Being outed as bisexual by a teenager in conservative Kentucky only added to his struggles, leading to alienation and bullying that would later be explored in a semi-autobiographical novel based on his life. But Lane was determined to find his own way out. The story of how Lane entered the entertainment industry is almost too wild to be true. So one night, late night, I should say, while working at the diner and, as he admitted, aimlessly scrolling through Grindr, he met someone who invited him out after his shift, and they dated for a while. I remember hearing this story, actually. At his friend's house, he met a group of women celebrating their earnings. What followed was an unexpected introduction into the world of webcam modeling. Now, intrigued by the potential, Lane started modeling on a webcamming site on February 2014. He quickly caught the attention of industry professionals, and soon after, Blake Mitchell was born. Probably because he had that whole twink thing going. That whole boy next door twink situation. The name choice was simple but personal. It said Blake, it's a hot guy's name, duh. Mitchell, the hot guy, he was the real boy next door type and one of my first crushes. In December of 2014, Lane had signed an exclusive contract with Helix Studios, one of the biggest names in gay or homosexual entertainment. What followed was a meteoric rise that would make him one of the most recognizable faces in the industry. Now, Lane's early career was nothing short of remarkable. He won multiple awards and was named Performer of the Year. Instinct magazine included him on their list of the 10 most influential homosexual adult stars of the 2010s, but Lane was never content to be defined solely by his work in front of the camera. In 2018, author Taylor Sarakin published his own way out, a semi-autobiographical novel based on Lane's life as part of the Rise Up series. The book traces his journey from a struggling teenager in Kentucky to finding success on his own terms, tackling themes of identity, bullying, and self-discovery along the way. Lane embarked on a national book tour, signing copies and speaking with fans at bookstores in Chicago, Madison, I'm sure that was Wisconsin, San Diego, Santa Monica, and his hometown of Lexington. The reception was overwhelming, with readers praising the book's honest portrayal of a young man who refused to let his circumstances define him. This is the most amazing part, Lane said at the time, explaining that knowing he'd been able to help someone who might feel alone or different was one of the great joys of his life. And you want to know something? This is the thing I absolutely love about adult performers, is that you don't just cuck yourself to, oh, I got to just stretch my hole or do all kinds of sexual stuff, and that's like all I'm contributing. And you got to try to continue to feed that beast or whatever the case is. Or you got to create a bunch of online stunts in order to get attention, like White's again or whatever. I mean, I like some of the stuff like paint himself green, and he came up and did the whole Fox thing. Like, it's like you always got to try to find a way to one up the last stunt you did. But it was nice that this kid was like, you know what? I want to take a lot of the things that I went through, take my struggles or whatever, put it in a book. And if somebody was dealing with that sort of thing, then hopefully it helps them want to better themselves. It's always good when, you know, you have these performers out here using their stuff for good instead of just being just a piece of meat, which is kind of like how everybody tends to look at adult performers anyway. Like they're not human beings. So now over the years, Lane had built a substantial following on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where he shared vlogs about his daily life, everything from house tours of his rental home to food adventures and travel content. At his peak, he had over 80,000 YouTube subscribers, more than 400,000 Instagram followers, and more than 700,000 Twitter followers. But it wasn't just the glossy content that resonated with fans. Lane was refreshingly open about his struggles, the challenges of dating while working in adult entertainment, and the complicated feelings that came with his chosen career. In July 2018, he posted a video called I'm Lonely that struck a chord with viewers, saying, I want to open up to you and talk about the difficulties and challenges that my career has imposed upon my dating life. The first challenge has to do with finding people who are interested in me for me, not just for my fame. And that's definitely something that a lot of these performers have to deal with, whether you do adult performances or you do performances like if you're a singer or an actor or whatever the case is. He spoke candidly about people asking him for shout-outs while they were dating, about strangers making inappropriate comments in public because they felt entitled to, and about the isolation that came from being recognized everywhere he went. saying, quote, "Is it possible to be lonely when you have 100K plus followers?" He asked. The kind of honesty made him more than just a performer. It made him someone fans genuinely cared about. And I guess him leaving that, to me, it was like he kind of made the whole being personable reality connection thing more attainable. Like, now where people tend to look at celebrities and feel like, oh yeah, you got to be engaging with your fans on Instagram. You need to be engaging with your fans on social media and stuff in order to feel somewhat relatable. And he was doing that before it was trendy, because he was just, I just want to open myself up and use the internet as my own personal vlog. And that's what a lot of people are doing. So yeah, his romantic life also played out publicly, and his fans were deeply invested in his happiness. Now, one of the first major relationships was with Casey Tanner, a fellow Helix performer he began dating in 2015. The couple became fan favorites, known for their adorable cake date YouTube videos, where they bake together, joke around, and just be a sweet couple in love. The two split in August of 2016, tragically. Casey passed away in April of 2023 at just 28 years old after battling health problems for years. Lane paid tribute to him on social media, and those who knew him described Casey as one of Lane's soulmates. After his breakup with Casey, Lane was open about the loneliness experience, but in October of 2018, while promoting his book in Phoenix, Arizona, he met Chad Alec, a 26-year-old hairstylist who would become his next great love. The two connected on Instagram, and their chemistry was immediate. By December, Lane was introducing Chad to his YouTube audience, declaring them a power couple, and announcing plans to move to LA together. Saying, "So we're moving to LA and we're going to become rich and famous and successful and travel the world." This is what he said and all that good stuff. So then Chad later entered the industry himself, and the couple collaborated on content together, building a loyal following as one of the internet's favorite pairs. The two broke up after a few years together, which, as often is the case, has led to some internet drama. Most recently, Lane had been in a relationship with a woman, a fact that shouldn't have surprised anyone who'd been paying attention. Well, Lane did say he was bisexual, so I don't know why people would be surprised. Just because you mostly saw him getting in relationships with men doesn't necessarily mean that if the opportunity presented himself, that he wouldn't have dated a girl. So they said, yeah, he was always upfront about his bisexuality from the very beginning of his career, but that didn't stop some fans from expressing disappointment or even hostility when he dated women. And I think it's because a lot of times y'all run around expecting that, well, how dare you betray us? And you sit there and think that somebody who says that they're bisexual, oh, they're just lying. Eventually you gonna come out as a homosexual. And it's like, stop doing that. Like, bisexual people do exist. Just because you like dick and you strictly dickly, so don't try to put your stuff on other people. If somebody tells you they swing both ways, or that they're fluid or whatever the case is, take them as for what they say. Shout out to all the B's and the LGBT, the B and Levitical. So yeah, it was a frustration that he addressed openly, pushing back against the biphobia he encountered even with the the Levitical plus community. For him, being true to himself meant embracing all aspects of his identity, regardless of who approved. Now, in 2019, he made a significant decision. He would no longer go by Blake Mitchell in his public life, saying, you guys know my real name now. I'm Lane. It's weird to say. I don't think I've ever said that in a video like this in a long time, so it's pretty crazy, but I'm happy. The decision came after years of feeling lost in the character he created. When people started trying to blackmail him with his real identity, he decided to take the power back by outing himself on his own terms. People are so disgusting out here. Oh, we gonna tell people what your real name is. Well, fuck you, bitch. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get ahead of it. And so, like, this is me, this is my name, and this is what I'm going to go by. I'm taking the power back. And that's the way y'all have to embrace a lot of these shady behind blackmailers, the ones that want to come out here and thinking they're going to one-up you or they can blackmail you out of money or whatever the case is. Don't ever let these haters win or see you sweat. Take a hold of it. That's why I always love the fact when people try to come for Madonna and was like, oh, we going to expose your nudes. Expose them. I did the pictures back in the end. You get ahead of it. The minute you get ahead of something that somebody tries to hold over on you, you take the power back. So shout out to him for being able to do that. And then he was also saying that his real friends were starting to ask him questions like, well, should we call you Lane or should we call you Blake? And I realized I had gotten lost in the character and it was terrifying. And a lot of times it's like, yeah, if you have a stage persona, it's like, you know, you have to be on all the time, or you feel like you have to act this certain way because that's what this persona that you've created is expected. And people tend to get lost in that character they've created and tend to lose a sense of themselves. So I'm glad that he was able to find that way of getting back to who he was. And that's always a struggle when when you have dual identities and you're a performer, trying to find that balance. So yeah, then since, the social media presence, the public appearances, the general persona, all that stuff, he was Lane, and his OF persona remained under the name Blake. So they said he scaled back his YouTube and Twitch presence, explaining that he felt like he was giving too many small pieces of himself to multiple things when he could be focusing on what truly mattered. So, like I was saying, he never forgot where he came from. He remained proud of his Kentucky roots, often sharing glimpses of his Southern upbringing on social media, whether rocking a cowboy hat or showing off his love for horses. And they would show like pictures of him like riding a horse. So I was like, oh, you like Brent Corrigan. Y'all love riding horses. He also pursued higher education, enrolling at the University of Kentucky to continue his personal growth beyond the industry, which made him famous. He was building a life that was authentically his on his own terms in his own way. His close friend Andrew, who was also his roommate at the time, captured Lane's spirit perfectly in a tribute posted on social media, saying, when we reconnected in Seattle in 2016, I didn't know what to make of him. He had this energy that draws you in, makes you hang on every word. We were just supposed to get coffee, but ended up spending 2 days driving around the city causing trouble. From Sicily to Manhattan, from the Jessamine County Gorge to Dofusky Island, Lane only ever had one speed go. So they said he only had one speed. So that's how he did everything. It was like, he did all the things. He went to school, he built the business, he rescued horses, he defied every expectation of who he was supposed to become. And I feel like, you know what, with him passing away, the way I look at it, I feel like what that was Lane had a full circle moment. I feel like with all that time of him with the self-discovery and him taking his life on his own terms and doing all the things he needed to do, I feel like the universe was like, you know what? You've done all you needed to do to finally come to be completely 110% Lane. And unfortunately, this had to be your time that God called you home. So I'm looking at it that way. But with all that being said, because this is a long-ass article, like how much more do I have to read, Chad? Let's get into some of these condolences from his adult performer peers. So Evan Jordy said, I never met Lane. In fact, we barely ever talked, but somehow he still felt like a friend. He was just such an overwhelmingly warm, genuine person. He could make you feel seen and appreciate with just a few simple words. He really was the best of us. And then, hold on. Joey Mills said the following, because they collaborated. Over the last decade, Lane has been one of my closest and kindest friends, the type that would literally fly across the country at the drop of a hat to help you if you needed it, the kind that you could sit and talk with for hours about nothing and everything all at the same time. He did so much in his lifetime, yet there was still so much more for him to do. He really loved and inspired so many people in this world, including myself, and always pushed himself and his friends to do better. I have so many great things to say about, yet still can't find the right words to put it all together. I'll forever hope to make him proud. It's been such a numbing experience to hear this news, to say the least. I keep finding myself walking around my house, talking to him, wondering if he can hear me. It still doesn't feel real. I just hope that his family is doing okay, and he's resting easy with Bandit and everyone else he ever missed. P.S. Say hi to Casey for me. And we already mentioned who Casey was earlier in the conversation. Liam Riley said, my heart is so heavy with the passing of my loved one at Lane V. Rogers. I can't believe I would be making this post so soon. Where do I even begin? 10 years ago, Lane walked into my life. We shared so many beautiful memories I'll cherish forever. He was the sweetest, smartest, most charming man I ever met, a true definition of a gentleman. He was so romantic and loved so unconditionally. My favorite thing was how safe and beautiful he had always made me feel. Lane was a love I'll have in my heart for the rest of my life. I last saw him on Sunday evening. Thank you for making my last day with you incredible. How I wish I could spend more time with you, getting to see your favorite team, go Rams, win the game, and make it to the playoffs will be a memory I hold forever. I love you very much, and I'm going to miss you every day. And that's crazy. Like, he literally saw him the day before he passed. Leo Grand said, every Tuesday morning, I had a phone call with Lane's mother and heart broke all over again. I'm utterly devastated and shocked beyond comprehension at his death. Lane would say to me, take a big bite out of life, Chad. And that's exactly how he lived. No matter what he was going through, Lane always chose happiness. The impact Lane had on my life is immeasurable and can't be described in any other way than I would not be who I am today if it weren't for him. He meant the world to me, and I will miss him every day. Jacob King says, rest in peace, Lane. Heartbroken emoji, so sad. Then we have Silas Brooks, he beefed with his twin. But in addition to that, Fly High, my friend, one of the nicest and charming people I had the pleasure of knowing, R.I.P. Grayson Lane said, heartbroken to hear the passing of Lane Bean Rogers. That doesn't even feel real. He was the sweetest guy with a big heart. One of the few genuine people in the industry. My heart goes out to his family during this time. Adam Albright said the last time we hung out, I asked what he's into. He misunderstood and listed horses, cow. Well, he said you were trying to fornicate, you little whore. But he said, we laughed when I clarified in bed, made some joking neigh horses at him before and after. We were, I guess that's what you're talking about. We were supposed to see each other tomorrow. I was looking forward to teasing him with more horseplay jokes. And then we have Max Carter with that picture. Men.com sent out their condolences. Steve Ricks sent out his condolences. I'll leave this up for a minute because I'm like, I'll let y'all have a moment where y'all can pause it and then read it. But then we got Miss Shortcake has sent out her condolences, saying he was the sweetest person. Then we got Casey Roman, was showing him with his Gay Vienna Awards. Saying nothing but good things. Then we got Kaito. Ooh, I like his content. It's like Kaito Suave. So it's about he's so sad to hear about it. Then we got Reese Jackson. And we got M. Indica. JJ Knight. Well, I met him back when I lived in LA, when I used to go to Avita. They had a little VIP section. It was like me having like my flashback. I was like, yeah, I remember that he had a VIP because I would hang out with the House of Avalon in one section. And then he was in the VIP section with Bo Banks and a bunch of the other performers when I used to hang out at Avita back when I lived in LA and I was hanging out in West Hollywood. That's why I met him. That's why I met who else was there? Who now showing all their nude body parts after years of teasing. Nick Mask and all of them. So anyway, so JD Knight says gone way too soon. Much love to his family and close friends. Jake Preston sent out something, so I'll leave that up for a second. And we got Sean Ford with this long one. I was like, it goes on and on and on. So y'all pretty much get the idea of what's going on with Blake. So yeah, unfortunately, we lost somebody who they said was a good man, Savannah. It was like somebody was prominent within the adult cinematography world. I don't even know if he still made content. I mean, it was still up there as Blake, but yeah, it was sad to hear this news when I heard about it yesterday. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this sad news regarding us losing yet another person in the adult film industry? Gone too soon, such a young age, 31 years old. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Who said Avatar was a Marvel movie? It's like it's under the Disney umbrella. Small is never promised. No, it's not. He said Lane was so much more than a pretty face. He wrote an autobiographical book at such a young age. Someone who pursued college well into his 20s, equestrian, and an avid ally for Palestinians. It upsets me when someone so full of life and love left this world. I know, because that's when did we just say that about what the hell we was talking about? The director? Oh my God, I'm forgetting my own stuff today. The very people I was up in here talking about. It was like, yeah, we were saying that about a lot of people. It's like the people who do good and are so full of life, and it's like they the ones that get taken out so tragically, and then we got people who do the most harm that's y'all still around. It's like, where y'all going? He still made he still made his content, and that's what's amazing about him. He never stopped. So many of the Helix boys that were around 10 years ago are now nowhere to be seen. I'm glad he still kept going. I was watching his girl. He was like, oh, I was watching a scene with him and Leo Graham. So you was a fan. And then you heard the news that he had passed. I know, because when I read, I was like, it took me a second for it to digest. I'm like, no, he didn't. So I started doing research. I looked around. I was like, let me go over to straight up gay porn. And they had it up. After it was sent to me in Messenger. All right, y'all. So now let's move on with the rest of the show, because we got 3 more topics left. And let's talk about Boots. So you already know Boots was canceled. People are upset still over it, and rightfully so, because here Netflix goes again, canceling something that a lot of people were watching, a lot of people cared about, and got the White House up in arms, which meant that something was being done right. So they should have kept it going. But now the creator of the show says that they got hopes that it will end up on another network, while giving us an inside look, and they said they already had season 2 planned. So the recent cancellation of Netflix's Boots after just 1 season struck a blow for representation, like they always do on that channel, as a groundbreaking coming-of-age queer drama series set in the Marine Corps. But it was also notable for another reason. Boots was the final show to be EP'd by TV legend Norman Lear, who had helped develop the project before his death in December 2023. And y'all already know, like, Norman Lear, he has given us so many iconic shows that we grew up watching, like All in the Family, like Good Times, like Maude, like The Jeffersons. So many great shows that came out under Norman Lear back in the day. And this was another one of the shows that he developed. He was always somebody who was always pushing the boundaries of the other and having people sit down and confront seeing the other represented. So Brent Miller, who served as Lear's producing partner and ran his Act 3 production, Shingle, shared his disappointment with Variety that Boots won't continue, saying, "But I do feel so grateful that we were able to make the show, and I couldn't be more proud of the show we made." As for where Boots might have gone in season 2, he added, "Our creator, Andy Parker, had always intended to take the boys to war in season 2. Created by Parker, Boots was based on Greg Cope White's book, The Pink Marine. Miles Heiser starred as Cameron Cope, a disillusioned, closeted 90s teen who shows up for the Marine Corps with his best friend, Ray McAfee, played by Liam O. Despite the unwelcoming environment, Levitical people were banned from the military at that time. And also, don't forget about Clinton with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The pair grew into themselves and formed lifelong friendships with their fellow recruits as they navigate the social and physical hazards of boot camp. Now, for the Lear family, the news of the Boots cancellation, of course, had been overshadowed by the tragic deaths of Rob and Michele Reiner. I don't know how, all the time I've been talking about them, I couldn't remember their damn name, but had a brain fart. So it was like, yeah, like we were talking about earlier, I was like, people who give so much to the world, great people, and you always hear so much great things about them and how hard they fight and how hard they lived and everything, and they die so tragically. Rob Reiner, his wife, and then we had Lane, aka Blake. I was gonna say Blake Lively, Blake Mitchell. So that got overshadowed. So a lot of people really, So they said, to be perfectly honest, it would be extremely difficult for Norman to focus on anything but the Reiners and their family at this time, Miller said. However, had he heard the news of our cancellation prior to the Reiner tragedy, I'm rather confident he would have reacted with disappointment, but simultaneously sit in gratitude for having had the opportunity to make the show we made. He would have been proud to know that the last show to bear his name was so meaningful to so many in the 196 countries Netflix serves. And although he was aware that cancellations happen all the time for various business decisions, he would empower myself, our fellow EPs and Sony to do everything humanly possible for our actors, writers, and producers to try to find ourselves a new home, said Miller, who now runs a house on Brame Productions. And of course, he would have encouraged the fans to make their voices be heard in the loudest ways possible to ensure a season 2, whatever, wherever, whenever. Okay, Shakira. Now, the timing of Lear's final production ending right where when the Reiner news came to light was an unfortunate coincidence. Lear was good friends, of course, with Rob Reiner's father, Carl Reiner, and later cast Rob Reiner in his breakout role in All in the Family as Mike Meathead Stivic. Lear also helped Reiner in his role as a filmmaker, serving as producer on Reiner's The Princess Bride, something Lear was very proud of. As the Lear family wrote in a statement this week, the Lear family is devastated by the deaths of Rob and Michele Reiner. Norman also often referred to Rob as his son, and their close relationship was extraordinary. To us in the world, Norman would have wanted to remind us that Rob and Michele spent every breath trying to make the country a better place, and they pursued that through their art, their activism, their philanthropy, and their love for family and friends. Lynn Lear had remained very close to them and said, "The world is unmistakably darker tonight, and we are left bereft." So it's sad to hear that Boots is not coming back. And, the fact that the Lear family didn't know the Reiners and they were all close. And this is a tragic event. But I actually hope that Boots finds a new home. I hope the fans, once all this dust settles, y'all could go out there and make your voices heard. Shout from the rooftop that y'all want Boots season 2 to come back and another streaming service to pick it up. I don't know what streaming service could pick it up. Maybe, HBO Max has Heated Rivalry over there. Y'all can put another homosexual show on that channel. I mean, look, we're not going to be in the business of one should be the representation for all. Why can't we have a channel that has a multitude of queer entertainment on it? If Netflix is not going to respect diversity on a streaming service, then have it go somewhere else. But it's sad to hear that Boots is not coming back for another season. But I do hope it ends up, being picked up somewhere else. So we'll see what happens on that note. But in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding the season 2 plans? Where they said that they plan on having the boys go to war in season 2, and hoping that the show can get picked up somewhere else. So who knows? We'll see if they fight to get it shot to a new home, and if somebody's willing to pick it up, or if we're just going to have to just enjoy it for the first season that we got. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I had something similar with that you was watching one of his videos and then you heard about him passing away. And this is why I'm a proud churner. Hello. And that's why they trying to stop the whole churner situation. But look, people isn't that what Onyx did? You churning for Stranger Things? And I'm just keeping it because I just want to watch Stranger Things and I'm going to get rid of it. They said, man, it had a good finale. The story felt complete to me. Well, I know, I wonder if it was Boots part of the character. But yeah, some people feel like Boots and that Red, White, and Royal Blue, that those shows are a little too Disney-fied. They want edge. They want grit. They want, heated rivalry. If they do a season 2, it probably would be set in desert. So, isn't that where I would think that it would, because that was what the story was based on, being in the military in the 90s and 2000s. All right, y'all. So now let's move on. Let's talk about Sniffies. So we got some tea, because the other day we talked about what was it, Grindr? Grindr Unwrapped, and Spotify with their situation. Well, it looked like Sniffies had dropped this 2025 download, which looks back at the year in cruising. So if you've been on Sniffies or whatever, they've been spilling tea about what the people been into, basically over there on the Sniffers. So Sniffies has had an interesting year, for being written about in the New Yorker and the New York Magazine, to being a tool allegedly used by Amtrak police to execute a sting operation that led to the arrest of over 200 homosexual New Yorkers, I think in the restrooms, earlier this year. But the app's popularity doesn't come solely with the press it's received. That's evident in its 2025 Sniffies download report, released on Wednesday. Now, in the report, the popular cruising app looked at how people cruised, connected, and explored desire in 2025. From lunch breaks to parks to groups, cruisers are turning curiosity into real-world experiences. Eli Martin, the chief marketing officer at Sniffies, said in a statement. And while desire is universal, every city puts its own twist on cruising, creating local cultures that reflect what guys there are actually into. Now, one of the standout data points is that most people who use Sniffies do not identify as homosexual. Instead, 42.3% of users identify as bisexual or bi-curious, whereas 25% identify as straight or straight curious. Well, probably because people look at gay still as like it's a dirty word. It's like, no, I don't want to come out and say I'm gay, because then it's like it makes it official, whatever the case is. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, I'm bi, or I'm curious, or I'm fluid. And trust and believe, you know how many bisexuals I encounter, or bi-curious men, or they want to identify as straight. It's like, yeah, I do straight stuff. I just like a little sloppy toppy every now and again. Now, according to the app, groups are among the most popular events. Well, that's me. Groups are fun. And it's as the report notes, more than 2.1 million cruisers attended over 200,000 groups, averaging more than 16,000 groups per month. The most popular group type, pump and dumps, with over 500,000 attendees. Hey, Miguel. And it said when it comes to cities, almost every major metropolitan city earned a superlative. Atlanta made it out on top as the horniest city, as well as the clean-cut stronghold. New York City was the top city for not mask enthusiasts. Wait, first of all, we the ones that be wearing, like most the dudes be out here wearing masks. I kind of believe that. Because you know how much content creators I be seeing that be in New York that they be having that mask on their face while, they doing some stuff. If you know what I'm saying, and I think you do. So they said, yeah, according to the report, which states cruising skews toward dominant and flexible roles with the highest concentrations of dom tops, verse, and verse tops. Yonkers, just outside of New York City, claimed the top spot for the largest average endowments, overtaking cities like Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Atlanta. So if you want somebody with a big old, you got to go to Yonkers. Now, for those who enjoy public cruising, the app's report indicates that parks remain the most popular cruising destinations, as the best time to cruise is typically around 1 p.m. So yeah, they be over here getting it in during a lunch hour. But we already know that, especially if you're in New York. There's a lot of S parties that I know they be happening. They be doing like I forget what they call, but like in Midtown, they had a couple of them, and they do like those little lunch hour where you could just like go get off during your lunch hour. So if you hungry, for some bird, you know where to go, you know what to do. Or the blue store if there's any left. They said now if you're a size queen, you may want to head east, as the Far East, since the Philippines were the country with the largest self-proclaimed package at 8.22 inches. Wait a minute now. The Filipinos got the big old dingalings? Y'all did not know that. I wasn't expecting to hear that. Now, they said over the U.S., the top 5 cities with users claiming they have the largest endowment were all on the East Coast. New York City came in 5th with 7.15 inches. Atlanta was next with 7.16 inches. D.C. had 7.17 inches. And Baltimore clocked in 2nd place with 7.2 inches. And of course, people say 7 is not big. Well, clearly you need your eyes checked, because y'all thinking that something got to be 11 inches down to your goddamn ankle to be considered well endowed. Y'all don't know what a big old dick looked like if somebody actually pulled it out and slapped you upside the head with it. Because quiet as it's kept, a lot of y'all sit up in here being size queens and you can't take it. unless your hole is about as wide as the Lincoln Tunnel. Now, taking the crown where the dudes, we already talked about the dudes in Yonkers, just north of the Big Apple, pulling ever so slightly ahead at 7.22 inches. The big boys are just a Metro North ride away. Now, while over on the West Coast, the bros from Perth, Washington came in with the smallest members at I feel for y'all, at 6.25 inches. But don't fret, there's still more on the average penis side, which clocks in between 5.1 and 5.5 inches. Now, among the other findings, the street guys were the most popular, with parks that the preferred place to cruise, and edging was this year's most popular kink. In all, 2025 was a very popular year in cruising. On to 2026, and remember to always stay safe. So, I guess if you don't have it, y'all could go and download the Sniffies app, which I do have, by the way. I deleted Grindr, but I still got Sniffies, and this was juicy. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story or the latest with this whole Sniffies tea, where they talking about that a lot of people don't identify as homosexual. They identify they identify as bisexual, bi-curious, or they are straight identified, but they just like having relationships with someone of the same gender. It's like y'all out here doing double lies. But look, let your freak flag fly, because they be out here trying to act like sex is a nasty, disappointing, disgusting, gross thing. And it's like, we should be just enjoying getting off. It's not a negative. Just stay safe, because we be hearing these stories about the people out here who be using, like the police or just criminals using Sniffies, using Grindr, all the other stuff to trap people, rob people, do whatever. So if you're gonna be out here cruising or doing this other stuff, do it. Protect yourself. Let people know, like your friend or whatever. Take pictures, screenshots of wherever apartment you're going to, wherever you're going at. Screenshot it, send it to that one person you trust, and let them know what you're about to do, so you don't end up caught up in no situation. If you got your car, leave your wallet and all your keys and all that, the important stuff in the vehicle while you go off and do your business. Don't take your good stuff with you, because you don't never know who you're going to encounter in these situations. So just be safe out there if y'all gonna be out here carrying. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Not bonkers for yonkers. Okay. All right, y'all. So now let's get to our final topic, because the girls is fighting over there at heated rivalry. So apparently it looked like the older gays versus the younger homosexuals are going at it, because I guess Gen Z doesn't like where the story is going regarding the whole heated rivalry situation. So in a time not so long, once upon a time not long ago, as Mariah Lynn would say, coming out as a homosexual could completely derail your life. In certain professions and certain locations, it's still the case. Now, while we've come a very long way since the closeted days of the 50s, we still haven't come as far as we like to think. And in the spicy hit show Heated Rivalry, whose action opens in 2008, not 2026, we get a glimpse at just how difficult things were for queer men in sports, even in the not so long ago past. So both Ilya, played by Connor Story, and Shane, played by Hudson Williams, are closeted hockey players whose steamy affair threatens to completely upend their lives. But Gen Z fans of the show are questioning the pair's choice to keep their sexuality under wraps. Let me rewind you once again. This takes place in 2008 and not 2026. So if some of y'all have a hard time taking a moment to travel back, if y'all having a hard time traveling back in 2008, this is where the older homosexuals or people of my generation have to come in. Because in 2008, trust and believe, I knew what it was like to have to hide and be in the closet and not be able to truly be your authentic self when it came to stuff like this. So for y'all to say, and this is why I always find the irritation, a lot of y'all want to put 2026 stuff on things that had to do with the past. So y'all expecting like, oh yeah, we're so progressive and things have changed. Really? Because the type of country we in now, where they trying to roll back everything for not only people of color and immigrants, but the LGBTQ plus community, we haven't gotten as far in our progression as we were made to believe. So there's a TikToker by the name of Sedona Violet who did a video about how younger generations are reacting to the video and basically said that Gen Z clearly does not understand the coming out experience. So I actually have that video for y'all. I got quite a few videos. So we're going to actually play the video, what she had to say. Hey, Sedonia. And we will come back and talk. Oh, please hold.
Gen Z does not understand the coming out experience. And that's something I'm clocking from all this heated rivalry discourse, because the way they're just so confused about why Shane and Ilya and Scott like wouldn't be out in this modern day. And it's like, hold on. It used to be a really fucking big deal to come out. I'm only 37 years old, but like even in my generation, most people I knew did not come out when they were teenagers. They waited till they left their parents' house and were in like college or older to come out, because like that's how much of a big fucking deal it was. You could lose your family, your community, your career. Like you could literally lose your life by being outed. Okay. And I'm not talking about 100 years ago. I'm talking about 25 years ago. Do you know how many actors in Hollywood's careers were completely kaput? Like when there was even like a hint of a rumor that they might be gay? A lot. So while on one hand, it's really nice to see how much the world has like really progressed, coming out was and still is a really big fucking deal and should be treated as such. Gen Z.
And with that being said, she is absolutely right. That is like, yeah, you have to realize that back in those days, that if anybody came out of the closet, their careers would pretty much be destroyed, whether you were an athlete or whether you were an actor or you were a musician. I mean, if you look at it now, y'all not really out here supporting openly queer musicians. I mean, where's Lil Nas X's career? The only one that's out here really doing something, well, Conan Gray's his career is pretty much a thing. And Troye Sivan. They're the only two. Everybody else, y'all didn't go out and support Khalid's new album. Y'all didn't go out and Lil Nas X careers in the toilet, but then some people say that the reason why that's there is because he started doing all that church shit, and that kind of pissed a lot of the Christians off. So there could be some truth to that, but I always felt like, stop even trying to indoctrinate and get in that old hip-hop space. You should have been more of a pop girly. So you could still do like the whole, you know, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, very much that aesthetic, but bring it to queer hip-hop and kind of experiment with your sound more. So if you would have took more of an alternative approach to his music, it probably would have worked. But Lil Nas X still got to figure out what he got to do with that. But it's like, yeah, y'all don't support those. Y'all don't support openly queer actors. I mean, yeah, Jonathan Bailey, I think, is like the only one I can think of right now who has a big mainstream career and is openly gay. I mean, yeah, we have Luke Evans. He pops up and stuff, but he's more or less a character actor in a lot of situations. There aren't really a lot of out actors that are out here put there. So there's still actors afraid to come out of the closet. And so, and especially in being an athlete, like we just did a whole story yesterday of a former hockey player who feels like, yeah, he doesn't even think this show is going to want more, have athletes have the courage to want to come out. And people was getting mad at him for what he said. But it's like, that's his experience. He knows that. Like, I think if you're in that world and you understand and you play professional sports and you are a homosexual and you're in the closet, I think I would want to listen to them and what their experience is more than somebody who's on the internet. Because like Sedonia's or Sedona's headline says, the internet does not reflect reality. And I've been telling y'all that too. There's the difference of the Matrix and there's the real world. And a lot of people tend to think that what is going on in the world of the World Wide Web is a lot like how reality is. And quite frankly, it's not. And as somebody who works at Madison Square Garden and works Rangers games, I know what that industry and that energy and that camaraderie is on a lot of those people who go to those games. I'm sure there's gay people that be up in there watching them sports, because I definitely see y'all get a little frisky once y'all had a couple of beers. I'll be watching y'all when I'm working there. But for the most part, it's like a lot of it is overly conservative. A lot of the people are real aggressive. They like all that let them fight and hit them. And like if you feel that overall aggression and you're dealing with a lot of conservative people that come to these type of games, it's very much a family-oriented type of situation. So for y'all to sit up here and think that just because you out in the world and you want this lollipops and rainbows type of situation, that's not the reality. So I totally get what it is that is coming out. And I just wish that a lot of these Gen Zers would understand this. So yeah, one person even brought up Kerr Smith's career was ruined because of his kiss on Dawson's Creek. Then another person, Ilya coming out literally means he cannot go home safely anymore. And this is still a reality for some people to this day. Hence why all things, oh, not y'all bringing up tattoo. But like one of the things I hate about TikTok is like trying to figure, how do I scroll down on this damn thing? I don't know. I don't want to mess with it, but it's like, oh, I see it. They changed how this whole thing. Wait, that's not it.
Gen Z does not understand.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. So let's go on to this video because there was another one that came up from. Oh yeah, people have to also understand this. Look, like she said, like most people had to wait to college or come out, because I've heard so many stories. A lot of people was like, yeah, I didn't come out until college. I didn't come out until I moved away from home because my parents was too conservative. I didn't feel like I could live my life the way I wanted to live it. So I had to move away. I had to go away to college. And a lot of people who are gay, a lot of them experiment with their sexuality when they go to college because they feel like it's safer to do that because you're in more of a liberal area and it'll be more accepting versus some nosy person from your neighborhood going, seeing you out at the club, coming out, you know, pumping down the street in your little crop top and your short shorts, and then they go and snitch. We see them stories told in Paris is Burning, especially when Pepper LaBeija was talking about that scene with the fur coat and how her mother found it and burned it. So it was like, and how some of the girls will go and they would dress up and change their look or whatever when they go out to the club and they get caught. So yeah, we know all the stories regarding that. And you have to realize that, yeah. So in 2008, queer representation in the mainstream was in its infancy and you couldn't find it just by turning on the TV. You had to look for it. Homosexual marriage wasn't legalized. And in the sports world, it was assumed that if you wanted to keep your career, you'd keep your sexuality private, not only in sports, but also as an actor or musician, you were told to keep quiet. How many times we heard the stories Ricky Martin was told to keep his sexuality quiet, and so many other people that later on were outed. So yeah, there was no, oh, and then we have from the twunk, I think this is the, what do y'all be coming up with these words? I guess it's supposed to be like the twink or the twunk version of the Hulk. So yeah, let's play his video where he tells about the conversation regarding DL closeted men and why we shouldn't be villainizing Scott Hunter. And this is, Scott Hunter was the Francois character in episode 3 of the show. And people was getting all mad because he didn't get to have his happy ending with the smoothie guy, Kip. Almost forgot his name. Let's play that clip and then we'll come back and talk.
People are missing the goddamn plot on the idea of these characters being closeted in heated rivalry. And it brings up a larger conversation around people being DL or closeted that I think has just been completely lost over the last 30 years, okay? There are no gay out professional athletes in the NHL. Does that mean they don't exist? No. Does that mean they are not entitled to want connection, intimacy, sex, relationships, just like their heterosexual counterparts? No. So when I see people online villainizing Scott Hunter for pursuing Kip but refusing to give him what he wants, I'm sorry, but Scott Hunter wants the same exact thing. There are cultural bubbles in the US and all over the world where people are not able to express themselves without fear of backlash, okay? And I know that 30 years ago, it was a much more homogenous experience in the US and people generally understood that being gay was a bad time. And nowadays, because there are cultural bubbles where people have no friction from their communities, from their family units for being gay, that does not mean that there are not people who are scared to come out, okay? Like professional athletes who exist within these bubbles where there is still homophobia and there are still real consequences for coming out and being themselves. People are missing the goddamn plot on the idea of these characters being closeted in heated rivalry. And it brings up a larger conversation around people.
Why is it not pausing? It's like you asked the shit to pause. Like, ah! Thank you. It's like, why are we not pausing? So yeah, so some of the comments they said we're starting to show 7 years before gay marriage was legalized in the United States. Pre-2015 was an entirely different world. Holding hands in public, well, another person said holding hands in public is a privilege, and people don't realize that. Absolutely, because you see people all the time where it's like, in New York, there being people, gays are being more affectionate and this and the other. And it's like, yeah, at one time you could not do that with the fear, out of the fear of getting bashed or whatever the case was. Well, we got one more video we got to get to, and then we'll move on with that. But yeah, people always seem to forget about Kurtzman's career. They said was ruined because of his kiss on Dawson's Creek, which y'all know he played Jack McPhee? The one gay character they had on Dawson's Creek, the popular 2000 soap. And then 1998, the first year of the show's run, outgauged college student Matthew Shepard was attacked and left for dead in Laramie, Wyoming. Anti-sodomy laws were still on the books in Texas. And in the fall, the murder of Boston trans woman Rita Hester led activist Gwendolyn Ann Smith to start the Transgender Day of Resemblance. And people also need to forget, I just saw it today, I think it was on one of the YouTubers or whatever, posted a video. Over 200 trans women or trans people were killed this year, and nobody's talking about it. So things haven't changed in regards to, while we feel like y'all want this great representation, that's awesome, we still got a long way to go. Now, one commenter wrote, I'm not that old, but I remember Matthew Shepard and the protests at his funeral. I remember Ellen's Tom cover and the backlash. I remember Oprah and Barbara Walters, oh please, and they still get problematic stuff for that. Or get dragged for it. Oprah and Barbara Walters badgering celebrities in interviews. Because remember when Barbara tried to out Ricky Martin. Why don't you come out? Because I don't want to. That's what he said. Which basically pretty much told us that he was a rhymes with maggot. But for the most part, he didn't want to do it. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction that that way you get the ratings. I'll come out in my own time when I'm ready. And he came out in his own time when he was ready. But some weren't so lucky. So then, of course, we had T.R. Knight, who was outed by being called a homosexual slur by Isaiah Washington over there, that fool on the set, and his career's in the toilet. So people thinking that, oh yeah, coming out is simple. It's not. And let's not forget about problematic ass Perez Hilton, who always tried to show like he turned over a new leaf, but he was notorious for outing celebrities. Didn't he out Neil Patrick Harris and Lance Bass and Chad Allen? So there was a lot of people over the years that he had outed and started putting things, drawing things on their faces, and yeah, made them famous, but he's vilified a lot in the community. Yeah, he's still up doing his thing or whatever the case is, and he still has a group of people that like him, and he's off still doing his thing. But yeah, people, you mentioned Perez's name, and Snickers comes with it, and I'm not talking about the chocolate bar. Now, when Heated Rivalry started getting popular, I was upset. And this is what Gen Z TikToker coach Jackie J said to explain that she was upset that the series had to feature men instead of women. So I got that clip too, because I know people was ready to go in on her. But she brings it around at a certain point. So let's get to that clip, our final clip, and then we'll come back and then we'll talk. Please hold.
That when Heated Rivalry first started getting popular a couple weeks ago, I was upset because I talk about women's sports every single day. And I was thinking, oh my God, we have so many real life lesbian couples who are so similar to the story of Heated Rivalry. And yet they're not as popular as these fictional men. And of course, the first time this like sports gay love stories in the mainstream, it has to be with men because men get everything. And this is kind of the way I was going. And I was just kind of running with it. And I was just mad and I was jealous because the show is so good. And I was like, we have so many lesbians in our leagues and what do the men have? And as soon as I had that thought, like in my head, what do the men have? I was like, oh my God, what do the men have? The men don't have anything. It's not that there's not gay players, professional athletes in men's sports. There's not out gay professional athletes in men's sports. Because there's definitely some gay people in men's sports just statistically. And they don't feel like they can come out. And that's literally the plot of Heated Rivalry. This show is so important because of the fact that it's not something you see in your everyday life in men's sports. And that's not because it doesn't exist. It's because they don't feel like they can't exist. And this show says, yes, you can. The trailer for the show literally played on the Jumbotron at an NHL game the other day. I'm not joking, that can change lives. There are gay players across the NHL who are seeing for the first time that at least in fiction, who they are and their story is accepted. So do I want a Heated Rivalry starring lesbians? Of course I do. But in the meantime, while I wait, I can just turn on the Professional Women's Hockey League. I have the PWHL. I love women's sports and I will sometimes kind of pay attention to men when it's really, really gay. I have a confession. And that's that when heated rivalry first started getting popular a couple weeks
I was like, child, why don't this thing ever pause? TikTok, you be getting the clock ad be getting my goddamn nerves. But anyway, with all that being said, I'm glad she said what she said because I know people was ready to windmill on her, be like, why y'all always want to try to include? Like, let people have their things. One thing at a time. Don't worry. Eventually, I'm sure there will be a story told where women will get to see lesbians having a moment. Look, when Chris Folk was popping and became a big, huge hit, it followed with the L Word. And then we got Noah's Ark. And then we got all these other shows. So you have to, unfortunately, when it comes to marginalized communities, you got to let one out the gate first and have its moment, and then others will follow, especially in these tumultuous times. So I feel like that's what will pretty much happen. Because didn't like during what was it like when George W. Bush was in office and we was going through the Iraq war and stuff, we had Queer Folk and all those other shows. So I feel like in those dire times we always get these progressive shows that ground break and push boundaries and that sort of thing. So I feel like that will happen. It's always cyclical. And I'm sure down the road with the success of Heated Rivalry, yeah, we're still upset about Boots and all these other queer shows that were canceled, but at least we got Heated Rivalry, and hopefully more shows like it will come out the gate. And yeah, we don't have that representation of seeing gay male athletes because, like I said, the people always think when it comes to queer people and stereotypes, y'all think of the worst of the worst. Y'all think drag queens, or y'all think hairdressers, over accessories to straight women, all this other stuff, and you want us to be your little bodyguards or y'all little clothes hangers or whatever the case is. And we're more than just an accessory. We're more than just some sexless eunuch. Like we have feelings. We want to love. We want to be in relationships. We like sports and things of that nature. It just so happens that, you know what, people who play sports and people who do this, that, and the other, they just so happen to be attracted to someone of the same sex. And one of these days, hopefully within my lifetime, we will get to see that, you know, we got queer athletes out there breaking boundaries, and they just so happen to be gay, and it's not an issue. And that their male partner can show up and sit with the wives of the athletes down on the front when they're up there playing their sports and those other stuff, and they ain't gotta hide them. So, hopefully, we don't fall like I don't want to be as cynical as that other athlete that we talked about yesterday, who basically was saying like he doesn't think that the show will encourage hockey players to come out. And who knows? But with this girl saying that they showed the trailer at where she said they showed it. When she said that they showed it at a hockey game. Hopefully, it gets to a situation where, you know what, that we'll be able to see this opportunity happen there where it's like, okay, so people actually for the first time, you know, they happen to be at a hockey game. The trailer played on the Jumbotron. They probably saw it. They didn't even know this show existed. Like, what is that? And then secretly was like putting it in their phone as a reminder, like, okay, when I go home, I'm going to find out what this show is about. I'm going to secretly watch it. Kind of like how back in the day when a lot of us was growing up, we said, oh, I had to secretly watch Queer Folk. I had to sneak to watch Noah's Ark. I mean, I'm sure there's kids out here today that be sneaking. Well, these days, I guess not, because you can watch everything. It's easily accessible to watch stuff now without your parents even knowing what the hell you're watching. But it just gets to that point, and it's just like, you know, this will be their Queer Folk or their Noah's Ark or their L Word or whatever the hell you want to call it. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Heated Rivalry? You know, the older queers that come out here and school Gen Z on this show, and you have to realize, yeah, this is not 2026. This was 2008, and you have to realize you cannot put 2026 ideologies on how it was back in 2008. You can't do that, and that's almost 20 years ago. So, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I just said it's almost 20 years ago, and that went from like 2008. But yeah, so it was that long. It's like, I can't believe I just can't believe I said it. But you have to realize that the times was different. And slowly we're progressing, slowly we're getting to a better place. Hopefully we do get to a better place. But I just got to be cynical. I choose to be hopeful. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I see we got a lot of comments regarding this. Hold on. I said in the Odyssey article that I feared wearing mask hoods, which started with New York virtual play parties during the 2020 lockdown, would come into real world encounters and Yeah, I don't know if I particularly like those type of situations because I'm like, God forbid anything happen. What I'm gonna go and say, who robbed me? All I saw was his eyes. So I don't know if I'll be trusting him wholeheartedly with the mask. I used to have a friend who would send me an address when he'd go hook up in case something. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. Always send the address, take a picture of the door on the outside, let people know where you are, and if they try something with you, be like, oh, well, look, if you thinking you're going to do whatever, I already took pictures and sent it to people, and they already know where I'm at. So God forbid anything happen, and they don't hear from me, they already know. Those Gen Zs having a fit don't seem to realize that before each scene, they actually put up the year. They probably not even paying attention. They be so caught up in the fucking, probably, that they not really paying attention to the fact that this show is letting you know what year it's in. Yet each moment takes place, nor are they paying attention to the tales from slightly older people. And they try to say that the older gays don't be trying to teach them. Child, don't even get me started on this queen because I had to cuss. Well, I ain't cuss out. Literally, it was something we was talking about in the group chat because, not Conan Gray, because Swiftologist apparently said something that was deemed as a racial microaggression towards a Taylor Swift dancer, calling them a DEI hire, and they dragged their ass about it over on the line. I don't know if you saw that. You said, stop trying to make Conan Gray happen. It's not going to happen. Well, maybe to you it's not, but he had the children up in there carrying when he performed at Jingle Ball. The gays and the girls was up in there singing his songs. French isn't going to happen. Jonathan is kind of like this generation's Neil Patrick. Yeah, I could definitely see that. He'll be the token for a while. I remember coming out as a bisexual on an Instagram post when I was 11. When National Coming Out Day. So I came out when I was 18. Because I remember Plain Jane talking about how scary it is to be gay in Russia. Yeah, and that's another thing too people need to realize is that hockey is kind of a Russian sport. You got a lot of people from Russia who partake in that sport. So being gay and Russian, you got to realize a lot of that mentality, especially when a lot of the coaches are Russian. A lot of the people that work behind the scenes are Russian, and that ideology trickles down. So yeah, you think some of y'all a little too Americanized and don't understand of like looking outside of the way you've been taught or what your liberal mindset. I always try to look at all the sides. Oprah tried to outplay us. Oprah, when you look back on Oprah, she was so damn problematic. She was trying to out him, but Robert Williams stood up for him, and that's what you got to do. So it's like, bitch, don't try me. Her and Barbara. When they did a series for A League of Their Own on Prime, there was a couple. Well, yeah, they were very much pushing the whole queer storyline on a League of Their Own. I remember hearing that. I never got around to watching it, but I remember hearing that. Do we need to remind people that that there was out NFL gay football players? They were exactly, and we just heard. Speaking of which, did we just hear about? Well, no, I think he's a basketball player, Jason Collins, where they say he got this real bad case of like brain cancer. So yeah, it's like you had athletes that did come out, and where are they? They're not playing professional, whatever sport it is that they're supposed to be playing, and you cannot believe that all these athletes out here straight. All I know is that I dated 2 girls when I was 10, and a year later, I know I had a celebrity crush on Evan Peters, so I defined it as bisexuality. That's what well, we do like ourselves a little cute Evan Peters. I sent you some viral anti-Madonna tweet that I do not how to explain to you without using Gen Z slang lingo. You wouldn't know. It involved Tate McRae and Beyonce's Irreplaceable. Wait, what? Hold on. I am confused. Why are they talking about business 40% off? Child, I'm not subscribing to nothing. Wait, where's they done changed up the YouTube or not the YouTube. How do I even get into my messages? Because I need to welcome to the new X chat. So now I gotta create a passcode. Hold on. Y'all are annoying. So now that's the only way. I gotta create a whole new damn passcode. Where is this mess? Oh, so you talking about this? You said y'all calling this tea now, but we're calling it demonic. 2 years ago is sad. The era was deaf, her best aesthetically. Oh, they talking about Doja Cat. I think this is way far up. White boys don't white boy the way they used to. And you showed me pictures of the Gilmore Girls. Oh, you said talented people to the right. Tate McRae directed Madonna. I know, child, who came up with this foolishness? Because if it wasn't for Madonna, nobody would even be checking for a Tate McRae or any of these other girls if this is the game they're trying to play. I know I did scroll down. Like I was sitting there looking at old videos. I saw that mess. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. And I went and closed it. Talented people to the right. I was like, wait a minute, why is this thing so confusing? It doesn't let you scroll up. Now, what the people said in the comments? Why would Tate McRae be the director of talent anyway? Ooh. Now somebody put a celebration of life, Onika Tanya Mirage. Into my Madonna could. Okay, hold on. This is the part where I got to slap the shit out of y'all. Somebody had the unlitigated goal to post this, where I had to cackle. They said Madonna couldn't do this. Hold on. I thought that because now it's going to demonetize me because I heard that fucking music. I was like, are you retarded? Because first of all, Madonna did yoga. I don't know if she's still. Oh wait, she actually does do. She could still stand on her head at 67. We seen the video. So where the hell are y'all even? Oh, Madonna can't do that. No, you couldn't do the shit Madonna was doing in her 40s, and she's doing it in her 20s. So y'all thinking she can't throw her leg all the way up? Madonna is a professional dancer. Madonna was doing all kinds of crazy moves and things with her body. Like, are y'all slow over there? Get off my line with this bullshit. See, sometimes I be wanting to slap the shit out of a lot of y'all over there on social media. You know, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, good night. And then I was like, this is why I left Twitter. Yeah, because a lot of y'all are just dumb as fuck. Well, look, if it does hit me with a red flag, I'll just block all that part out. But like, y'all cannot be serious with that foolishness. Tate is more talented than O'Donnell. I should be like your mother, bitch. What are you even trying to say? This Tate setup, I'm gagging. First of all, Tate don't even sing live. So if we gonna go there, remember she had the microphone upside down trying to sing into it before she realized the mic wasn't pointing where it needed to be pointing. So if y'all want to come out here and thinking just because somebody pretty and they could put their leg up in the air, I mean, if you fuck, you can put your leg up in the air. It's not that hard. So whatever. I'm getting off the line. I can't with these young people because y'all gonna get me out here swinging. But anyway, on that note, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. If you have not, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure, help me out and hit that notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Hitting the like button also helps with the algorithm. Leaving a comment also helps with the algorithm, pushes the channel out. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this mess of a show. Have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode because I'm going to be busy this weekend. There's a lot of events and things going on. So, yeah, I won't be able to give y'all a Friday show, but it's been a minute since I've been giving y'all a Friday show. So, y'all should be used to it by now. But that's why I gave y'all a long show today. A lot of topics. I can cut it up. I can put it out there in case y'all didn't sit through the whole thing, and I can put up the end more entertaining clips. So, yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you all for your continued support and tuning in per usual. And until next time, ciao, darlings.